2026. We are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes. But if you would like to get on the list for today, the list is open. You will be the third person read for. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio, please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes, so make sure you are tapping that screen. We will get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning today's daily collective read, I'll be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you'd like to find those full readings, you can find them over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find them over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find them as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. But first and foremost, most important question, the question we ask every single day: how we doing today? Scale of 1 to 10. There are no wrong answers. Eclipse season. We've been going through it. We're almost out of it. Okay. We've got a full moon coming up tonight in Pisces during Virgo season. It's also going to be a lunar eclipse, thus concluding our eclipse season. This has been a very intense eclipse. Just a reminder, eclipses don't necessarily have an energetic signature. They're amplifiers. They take on the characteristics of whatever we're energetically going through at the time that the eclipse cycles start. What was going on during this eclipse cycle? Well, a lot of intensity to begin with. We've got Neptune and Saturn currently in retrograde. Everything in Aries right now is in retrograde. That can do a real number on the feelings, okay? Deep feeling check, okay? And the thing about it that's very important when we're working through deep feelings is being able to understand the direction that those feelings point to, right? Often the work of recognizing and identifying what needs to be worked on internally, what needs to be worked on externally. We've also got the observation of, again, and I just wrote a whole article about this over on the stack in Mystic Meditations. What do we effectively see that's occurring with the combination force of effectively Neptune in retrograde with Saturn in retrograde in Aries? It's working into what one does as one carries energetic feelings of density, right? Working through past traumas, working through past hurts, working through past wounds. It's also a journey that basically identifies the fact that we don't need to let go of everything, right? But more, and this is what we like, this is what I like about a Virgo of Pisces full moon in Virgo season, right? It's the observation of being able to understand the energetic weight of what we are carrying, right? Because when we understand the weight of what we're carrying, then we feel the honor in terms of being able to carry it, right? It's the space or the observation of doing that work, and it's never easy, right? It's frustrating. It sometimes feels, right, energetically overwhelming. But what happens, right? This is what's incredible about what we navigate as it relates to working through energetic burdens. What happens as you're navigating a burden? You find yourself getting stronger, right? You find yourself getting stronger. This is the culmination of a lot of the work that we see that has been occurring as it relates to the foundation of these strength relationships that have been coming together right now. Did a whole reading on it yesterday. And a lot of the work that we're potentially seeing right now is continuation of identifying and recognizing the valuation of strength lessons. And what does strength lessons effectively help us understand? Strength is found in mutability. And why do we identify that strength is found through mutability? Because it's easy to get energetically strong with something, but being able to modify, right? Being able to energetically modify one's strength is the observation of having strength, right? Because what is the difference between strength that is a burden versus strength that feels like it is an energetic quality that one is able to bring towards things? It is via right, the modulation of one's energetic strength that allows one to be able to recognize that when we're bringing, right, when we're bringing our strength to things, that strength allows us to be able to perceive when strength is needed and when an energetic gentle touch is required, right? It's the modulation point that is the identification of our strength. What happens, right? And this is potentially what we see that occurs in relationality to working through experiences where we don't recognize our own energetic strength. There may be a lot of healing that may be occurring right now in experiences based upon the past, wherein one is working through the context of the self and not recognizing, right, one's own energetic impact. So we see that this is either the work that we identify for energy that is in solitude, doing that necessary vital work identified in healing. And not only identified in healing, but being able to recognize and identify in relation to building into the context of working through a sense of energetic presence, right? The conscientious effort that we're able to apply to things that allow for that understanding or that adaptability. So either these are situations by which energy is healing in solitude by honoring the journey of the self, or potentially recognizing and identifying the vital difference between individuals trying to build a relationship of love versus someone who is trying to cultivate an environment of longing. And what is the difference between love and longing? Love is nourishing. Love is energetically consistent. And it is the arrival point into that consistency that allows us to be able to grow love in an even greater fashion. But those that are effectively too enamored with their own trauma build an enamoring towards longing. And longing is energetically inconsistent. Longing is articulated in relationality to creating a sense of energetic need. And then when it is effectively delivered upon, right, one feels momentary happiness, but then it comes into the space of desperation again. So we see that for a lot of the energy in solitude, being able to effectively tell the difference, right? Telling the difference between love that arrives consistently, because love always arrives consistently, versus those who try to cultivate an environment of longing via the inconsistency that is often articulated by an individual that is over enamored with their own trauma, right? We see that for a lot of the energy working through those observations, there's something potentially very fortifying that's occurring. But at the same time, right, building into that sense of energetic stabilization as it relates to, right, and this is what we see these relationships building into. I told you this is why they're strength partnerships. Relationships that arrive to each other in a consistent way, identifying the love that is energetically expressed there. Well, for the energy that is moving deeper into divine union, that stable foundation, right? These are effectively the world relationships that were coming together between the time of that new moon in the Taurus new moon in Taurus season that we experienced in May, leading into the Capricorn new moon that we experienced in Capricorn season in January. These are energies that are potentially working through a lot of productivity, right? And what do we see that may be happening with a lot of these relationships that are moving deeper into divine union? There were a lot of eights on the table yesterday. There were a lot of sevens, which is working through developing consistent cycles of nourishment and consistency, being able to identify and recognize what feels energetically stable, that is creating new energetic solidification and foundations that are allowing for that consistency to be the energetic standard. At the same time, what do we see that's potentially happening with a lot of those world relationships? A lot of feelings coming up as it relates to the observation of where the consistency was lacking in past experiences, and that lack of energetic consistency that is potentially helping the energy to heal. But it's not easy because the energy is healing in the observation of what it is that they're finding, right? They're finding that sense of consistency. They're creating it together, right? Out of like in and in the context by which they're doing so, they're understanding and recognizing things that they might not have necessarily seen before, that were energetically lacking in past relationships where there may not have been unified manifestation goals. Now, this brings us to the energy that is deep within divine union. And we see that for those relationships, these are effectively the moon relationships. And the moon relationships were coming together between the time of that new moon in Capricorn that we experienced, leading into the Uranus that went retrograde way back in September. Now, for these relationships, the moon relationships I just keep on seeing are working on taking nuanced approaches to things. And why are we seeing that there may be something required there that is taking a nuanced approach? Because you have to understand that for a lot of these moon relationships, they've been navigating a new phase, right? They've been going through a new phase, potentially been going through a phase that they didn't even realize existed prior to being in partnership. But even in the context by which they're navigating that new phase, right? They're doing it in a way that allows for a sense of energetic stabilization, right? They're bringing they're bringing their energetic consistency to new phases, right? And that observation of being able to effectively work into experiences by which they recognize and understand what's energetically needed there, right? There's something important that we see that they're working through as it relates to understanding the quality and nature of what it means to be energetically aware upon how we're effectively working towards things, specifically because what we're identifying and seeing in those experiences are observations wherein there's potentially a conversation or an understanding that when we bring, right, when one is bringing consistency towards things, the only sound that one should be hearing is hooray, right? It's the sound of relief, right? But navigating or working through the observation of being able to recognize whether others are adaptable, right? It's the understanding that you can't bring healing into things if others don't feel the desire to be energetically healed. And this is why we see that for a lot of the energy, working through experiences in that way may be articulated by navigating conversations in terms of energetic observation, right? The quality of being able to navigate the nature of change and understanding that sometimes that change is subtle. Sometimes that change takes a little bit of effort, but a little bit of effort goes a long way, because often the context by which we're effectively navigating or bringing change into things allows us to be able to articulate upon the differences that we see. So we see that this may be a lot of conversations by which there's healthy conversations in terms of sustainable, subtle growth opportunities, or the journey of navigating the frustration of desiring change to be quick, but understanding the quality and condition by which the healthy change is often one that builds into a sense of timeliness, or the quality and condition by which we're working through things. And as we work through things, we find the energetic strength to do more in that fashion. Now, that is where we find all of the energy prior to beginning today's daily collective read. But if you'd like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as um, you can also find it as a podcast over on Spot and as a VCast over on Stack. I would also encourage you to head over to my Stack to learn more about our next tarot class, which is going to be occurring on Thursday, September 17th at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the 4 cards of the Minor Arcana. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Stack is your ticket of entry to our classes each and every month. You will also have, with that, connected to it, a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you'll also have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of readings, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. One of the things I've tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule, and my Mystic Meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards. Based on the lunar cycles, I just wrote one recently on this new moon. I just had one out this morning on the full moon we've got coming up in just a few hours. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience by me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages, which you can purchase again weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey at a discounted rate, as well as my dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. Now, if you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. But let me know in the comments how this energy is impacting you personally, because it is going to hit everybody just a little bit differently. That said, we are going to get started on today's personal readings in just the next few minutes. But if you would like to get on the list for today, the list, as always, is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes, so make sure you're tapping that screen and we'll get to 50K in no time. And the other reading giveaway we're giving away today is a free reading for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning, I will take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. We do have 2 individuals who have priority today before we get started on the daily collective. Anyone who gets on the list before we go live always has priority each and every day. And if you're joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also get on the list today via my tree that has links in it in my bio, or by sending the donation directly through the app. And your paid membership there entitles you to the same benefits that I've expressed for those who are super fam, including the free 1 card reading each day. Thank you so much, Nicole, for those bocce. So good to see you today. Welcome. One moment, please. One moment. Perfect. And thank you as well, Minnie, for becoming for receiving the #1 viewer today. And thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciated. And thank you as well, Laurel. Good to see you today. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Guys, make sure to give Laurel some love. Readers supporting readers. Avatar, good to see you as well. Per, Grand Rising, dear, good to see you. Absolutely. And thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciated. How are you doing today? Sainip, thank you for the follow. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. Excellent. You're so welcome, Avatar. Great, wonderful to hear it. Thank you, Nicole. I know it is very funny. Absolutely. Good to see you. Excellent. And thank you for those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos. How you doing today, Mag? And welcome, Nin. Hi there, Rose. Welcome. Excellent. And thank you, Ivana, for those stars. Always appreciated. Sending you so much support on that healing journey. Yeah, Brittany, if there's anyone causing you pain in that way, I want you to start returning compassion back to yourself, right? Begin that healing journey. I know it's not easy, but take the time that you need to be able to realign. Absolutely. Thank you as well. All right, my friends, as I mentioned, we are going to get started on personal readings. The first person we are reading for today, we have individuals that have priority. Bianca, you are the first one who will be read for today. And if you could let me know if we're doing a general reading or if you have a specific question you would like me to answer. The list is open, Stella. If you would like to get on it, you'll be the third person read for. You'll be the first person read for once we complete the daily collective. Okay. One moment. Excellent. I got you, dear. And thank you so much for letting me know where the reading is. Just a reminder to those who are, um, who are subscribers, if you have information that you feel is necessary or relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channels in the appropriate channels. I am going to take a moment. This is Inside Tea, so I need to take a moment to read over this. And while I do so, I will give you guys a hearth warmer, something to keep in mind to discuss as I read over this this information. How are you working to remove overthinking with activation? So how are you able to effectively allow overthinking to be replaced with activating? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm sending you so much support over on this journey, dear. Okay. Brittany, I'm going to ask you to please refrain from posting things that don't make sense. So I think that what you're articulating is the fact that you feel that there's something within you that is not healthy. And if there's something within you that you feel is not healthy, I want you to understand that that is the structure by which you need to get support for it. I want you to make sure that you're reaching out to someone who cares about you and articulating the fact that you feel that way. There are those that can help you, and that is beyond the context of a spiritual landscape. Anything that's supportive to you is going to be something that fosters you in a space of health or wellness. If you feel like there is something inside you internally that's hurting you, I want you to understand that that is the source by which you need to make sure that you're getting outside support for it. Okay, I want you to make sure that you're reaching out to a mental health provider to help you in that context. I would also articulate that I'm not sure if this is the best space for you to be in if you're in that context, because I don't want necessarily anything that you're receiving here to help dictate a narrative by which you feel like there's something inside of the self that you can't control. We are autonomous beings and we have control of ourselves. If there's anything that's making you feel that that is not the case, I need you to understand that that is something that you need to get immediate help for. That said, I'm sending you so much support on that journey. And I hope that you find the healing that you seek. And I hope that this message helps you today on discovering that healing journey for yourself. Thank you so much, dear. Absolutely. Okay. All right, let's continue right now. Thank you, my friends. Okay. Can I please get Can I please get 4 cards, please? Highest priority messages. So the thing I'm seeing that's really important, and I feel like there's something, I feel like the conversation that you need to have with another person. And this is something that often becomes very difficult, particularly in the realm of those that we have effectively known for a long time, is making sure a relationship is building into our sense of empowerment, not accidentally or inadvertently creating the space by which we are energetically reverting. And this is very difficult because what often happens is when another person is energetically reverting, it can sometimes be hard for others to recognize that that is occurring. And the thing about it, you have to recognize is that that quality of reverting is very easy it's very easy to occur when we've known each other for a very long time, right? And when one is working through that quality and nature of reverting, it sometimes requires us to have to take a step back away from things, because the nature by which we understand that something that we're potentially giving to another doesn't feel like it is supporting, but rather that it is energetically reverting, allows us to be able to observe, right, the quality and condition that builds into the health of our proximity, right? And so this is why you often notice, right? This is why you often notice that those who are experiencing or being within certain relational orbits, if you will, understand that distance to a certain extent is healthy. And the reason that we identify that distance to a certain extent is healthy is because that quality and condition by which one is able to effectively identify and recognize what feels like it is qualitatively a supportive relationship is built upon one that feels mutually empowering, right? It's the mutual empowerment point that allows things to be energetically possible. So it seems what effectively is happening right now is having to have a difficult conversation to another person around the observation of potentially seeing the quality and tendency of them energetically reverting when they're in proximity to you, and them effectively reverting into something that feels comfortable, right? What might feel very comfortable to them might be feeling energetically uncomfortable to you. Now, it does seem to me, right? And one of the things that I see here is even in the quality by which you effectively, and one of the things I like to identify is when we are working through what is energetically possible, there's always the quality and condition by which we articulate what is feasible and reasonable, right? And I feel like what you're basically going through right now with another individual is having to articulate what's feasible and reasonable. And you effectively identify that quality and that understanding in the space by which you articulated, right? What it is that you are trying to energetically facilitate for another person, right? And in the quality and condition by which you're articulating upon what you're trying to facilitate, the important thing that you're able to identify is what is bringing into mutual manifestation goals. So something that feels energetically mutual is the identification of being able to do something that builds into the context of understanding the quality and condition by which there's an energetic limitation to it. But what do you potentially see that is occurring? Instead of something improving, right? Instead of something that is changing, it feels like something that is moving more into an inclination of reversion. So, what you're effectively having to navigate, right? And even in the quality and condition by which you're helping another person see that, being able to identify what you can do, right? Being able to identify what feels supportive to them, that articulation, that amplification of identifying and recognizing what that work is how you are effectively best facilitating upon the fact that that care, right, that even in the quality, and I want you to understand this, and this is sometimes what's difficult, right, and this is what we talk about in relation to navigating the state or nature by which we're trying to heal one another, right? The quality and nature by which you're able to articulate something that you're not comfortable with. But not only identifying why you're not comfortable with it, but explaining to another why you don't feel that it's putting them in the space of their best empowerment. Because your ability to potentially articulate upon what needs to change, right? Your ability to describe what it is that you're trying to do, right? Even here is an opportunity to build further alignment, because when you're working into, and I think that one of the things that you could potentially have a conversation with is, instead of another person asking something from you, to be able to articulate to them what that aspiration is, right? What that energetic goal is, what it is that they are trying to reach. And then, in the context by which you're able to articulate what that aspiration is, what that manifestation goal is, right? Identify how or if what they're asking from you is connected to that manifestation goal, or if it feels like it's standing in the way of it. Bottom of the deck on this reading, particularly with the Page of Swords. This is what's often difficult because I definitely see the quality and condition by which another individual is working through a lot of deep healing here. I see somebody who's working through the quality and condition of another individual having deeply, deeply hurt them, right? And in this, and the thing about it that we recognize is trauma. Trauma further facilitates or builds into the quality and condition by which we have a tendency of reverting, right? That quality and condition that we identify, right? The fact that this is often even more facilitated by the fact that trauma makes us inclined to revert even more, right? Than the ability to understand, right? The ability to understand and to inform another, right? That that quality or that tendency of helping another person understand, right? The power of empowerment, right? Then that ability of you being able to identify the quality and condition. It's like you have to basically have a conversation about the fact that there may be a tendency of another person inadvertently recreating a power imbalance in their life, right? And when we're working into the observation of another individual inadvertently recreating a power imbalance, particularly and especially if this was an individual who feels like they were hurt by a relationship wherein there was a power imbalance, then your ability to articulate the fact that you're trying to build a relationship with them that's based upon peerage, or the space or nature by which you're able to hold somebody in a space by which you're building into their own autonomy, then even in the quality and nature by which you're potentially articulating to another why you are not inclined to move to identify some way by which they're asking you to energetically support them more. What you're really identifying is helping them find ways to be able to prevent that from energetically occurring again, because it's you being able to observe the quality and characteristics by which that may have potentially occurred in the first place. And that's often difficult because that is what we identify as a hard love conversation, right? The hard love conversation is recognizing the understanding by which you're trying to energetically empower someone so that they don't find themselves in a feeling of disempowerment again. So that may be requiring you to effectively help them identify and recognize where the reasons why you may be energetically resistant in stepping up instead of helping them step energetically forward. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. You will be the fourth person read for. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I got you, dear. Stella, thank you for getting on the list. You'll be the first person we read for once we finish the collective read. Mm-hmm. Laurel, this was Minnie's. Excellent. Absolutely. Well, and I think that ability to facilitate a healthy conversation as to the reasons why, make sure that you're focusing on that manifestation goal. right? Help remind them of what that manifestation goal is. Ask them if it feels like the steps that they're taking are moving them closer towards that manifestation goal or further away from it. And being conscientious and making sure that you're identifying if you feel like you see someone that instead of moving towards their manifestation goal, they're inadvertently reverting because they're working to heal through trauma. Absolutely. I hope that helps, dear. Absolutely. And thank you for having that reading with me, and thank you for supporting each other through these readings. The next person we are reading for today is Per. Per, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you would like a general reading or if you have a specific question that you would like me to answer. And if anybody else would like to get on the list for today, you will be the second person read for once we complete the daily collective. Excellent. How you doing today? I am. Excellent. I got you, dear. We're going to be doing a dream interpretation on the disco. Just bear with me a moment. And as you may know, if you have a dream that you would like me to interpret, you include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channels. Hi there, Michelle. Absolutely. So, those who are happy to answer that question. For those who are super fam, you have our super fam, and for those who are paid members over on the place where we keep the video, have access to our super fam only disco channel, which is basically where we have collective information there. You can post dream interpretations. We also have information related to our tarot classes. There's also a discount code there for our tarot class program that we host monthly over on Stack. So all you need to do if you'd like access to that disco channel is become a super fam. Also, as a super fam, you're entitled to a free 1 card reading each day. I hope that helps. Excellent. And before we continue right now, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the air dragon. We'll do that again after the next reading. Excellent. And you guys know what we do before we do a dream interpretation. We break out the dream coconut. I've got it here. Ooh, that was like ominous. Absolutely. All right. One moment, please. Thank you. Oh, you have a beautiful day as well, I am. Welcome from India, Gaurav. Excellent. All right. One moment, please. Excellent. All right, let's get started on this dream interpretation. I'm going to pin up Per here. Guys, make sure to give Per some love. All right, this dream has 3 parts, so we're going to get to it. Part 1. The dream started with me being in my living room, although it wasn't my current home. A woman was visiting me, and she had brought a child and her lion with her. I knew all 3 of them. The lion was huge, especially considering how small the living room was. He was standing between the sofa and the coffee table, playing with my hands the way dogs sometimes do, gently nibbling and playfully biting them. At some point, though, he started acting a little unpredictably. I seemed to be the only one who noticed it. In real life, you can usually tell when an animal is about to get the zoomies. That mischievous look in their eyes gives it away, and I could see the look. He was clearly about to start something. I told the woman what I had noticed and communicated to her that maybe it was best for them to leave. There was something involving an envelope with handwriting on it. I've seen the envelope a couple of times in my dream, and somehow I knew it was important. Part 2 of the dream. I was in a small mall with a boy with dark hair. At some point, his eyes suddenly turned red. That was my cue that it was time for us to go our separate ways, and definitely not to bring this child anywhere near my car or my home. P.S. The next day, I asked my guides to give me more clarity about the lion, and the strength card immediately popped into my head. So, of course, I looked the image up, and the funny thing is that the way that the woman was standing with the lion in the image is exactly how I was interacting with the lion in my dream, except for the fact that my hands were in their mouth. Can I get 4 cards, please? So let's talk about the first part of the dream, because you identified that in the dream space you saw a woman that was visiting you, and they had brought with you the individual in question had brought with them a child and her lion with her, and you said you knew all 3 of them, and you identified the fact that the lion was huge, especially considering how small the living room was, and they were standing between the sofa and the coffee table. And they were playing with your hands the way that dogs do sometimes, nibbling and playfully biting at them. You identified that at one point they started to act a little unpredictably, and you seemed to be the only one who noticed it. Now, what's interesting is that you had told the woman that you noticed and communicated to her that it was maybe best for them to leave. And this effectively has to do with being able to identify and recognize other individuals' subtle inferences as it relates to their own preferences. Because what you have a tendency of, what we see that you have a tendency of doing here, that we identify that you're doing in that room, and I need you to understand that the quality and condition by which you are in your living room, right, is building into your quality of energetic attunement. So you could tell, right, you are energetically aware that that individual, right, brought something into your home that was working into their best behavior, right? And the quality and nature by which you understand the difference between a natural state and something in their best behavior is the quality and condition by which you are energetically aware of the fact that that energy being in that space, right? The quality that you were finding them in was not their natural state, right? It was not their natural state, which is why when you noticed that energy was getting, right, finicky, you stated, I think it might be best time for you to go, because, and you recognize it, it's not the quality by which you desired something for another person to leave, but you were effectively communicating on behalf, right? There you were acting as communicator, right? You were acting as communicator for the energy that could not communicate for itself, right? You weren't identifying the quality and condition. You weren't dictating that they should go. In that moment, you were acting as interpreter, right? You were interpreting, right? Because that's why you had your hand in their mouth, right? Because the hand in the mouth was how you were interpreting. Because in the quality and condition by which you noticed that the playfulness started to turn, you started to notice that the playfulness started to turn into and you were like, I think you guys gotta go, because it wasn't the fact that you were feeling distressed, but you were communicating on behalf of something that they were distressed, right? So pay attention, because that's basically that first dream, right? The first dream, the energy that you're seeing were guides. And what the guides were effectively identifying is pay attention to your ability to energetically communicate on behalf of those that don't have the ability to communicate for themselves, right? So in that space by which your ability to articulate that was an energetic relief, right? Because you might, and this is the funny thing about a gift, like the funny thing about a gift is that you assume that everybody else can do that. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. Now let's get to the second part of the dream, okay? First part of the dream, guide showing you your gift. Second part of the dream, you're in a small mall, right? You're in a small mall with a little boy, and you identified that their eyes had turned red. And you said that was your cue for you to go your separate ways. And definitely not to bring that child anywhere near your car or your home. Now you have to recognize that when we talk about cars or homes in the dream space, we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about our own self. And I have to understand this is a shadow work dream. And a shadow work dream is identifying something that's already happened to you, right? And what we're basically seeing is potentially the second part of the dream is helping you attenuate to strange feelings that you have as it relates to another person. And this is potentially identifying a karmic situation with someone who wanted to get closer with you, and you made the energetic choice not to, and potentially feeling some sort of guilt because it felt like that you weren't not giving someone the full chance to prove themselves. But this is the important thing that you have to notice in relation to the fact that whatever you had, right? The guides are showing you in the first part of the dream. Do you recognize, honor your gift? Honor your gift in relation to recognizing that you are very good at reading into others' intentions, right? You're so good at reading into others' intentions that someone brought a lion into the room and you were able to be like, time for you to go, because you're not someone who is afraid of energetic of you're not someone who's intimidated easily. Okay, you're not someone who's intimidated easily. Okay, the guides show you in the first part of the dream you're not intimidated easily. You'll go ahead and stick your hand in a playful lion's mouth, and you'll be able to, you're like, oh wait, no, I can't pet this, I can't pet this pet, I cannot pet this pet, and I can't pet this anymore, because this is no longer a situation by which this energy is inclined to be pet, right? So your ability to be able to read into another's intentions. The guides were showing you in the first place. Pay attention to how good you are in terms of reading into someone's intentions. So this is talking about a space by which you're holding guilt for a situation by which another person was trying to identify to you that they were very gentle, right? Something a little disturbing, right? There's something a little disturbing about a grown adult that tries to convince one that they are so gentle. Why would a grown adult continue to try to have you perceive them as being gentle as a child? Because the quality and condition by which another person feels, and you have to understand, when another person feels compelled to reiterate over and over again how gentle they are, why does one need to articulate something that one is embodying? Why does one need to articulate upon something one needs to embody? And often, the quality and condition by which another person, and you'll often notice this, right? You'll notice somebody, and this is what we identify when another person, right? We've all experienced energy like this. Someone who goes, why aren't you letting me be nice to you? Can't you see how gentle I am being? Why won't you? All I'm trying to do is be nice to you. Why won't you let me be gentle with you? And the ferocity that comes through in the observation of someone that identifies that they want to do something harmless for us, but in the expression by which they get angrier and angrier, that they won't allow you to be gentle. Why won't you let me be gentle with you? Is exactly the reason that you recognize that there's nothing gentle about someone who is insistent upon the fact that they desire to be gentle, because what you see is the observation of the insistence is where you are identifying the red eyes, right? The red eyes that potentially cry innocent, right? Pay attention to individuals who cry innocent, who cry and identify the fact that they're so kind, they're so nice, they're so gentle, they wouldn't hurt anybody, but if you don't let them not hurt you, right? That frustration, that anger that seems to well up inside of an individual that's trying to demand the fact that all they would like to require from the self is something that is energetically gentle, that makes it very clear that there's nothing gentle about someone who's trying to present that they're gentle, but then is insisting that you receive their gentleness accordingly. And that's why you identified in that experience the fact that you energetically step back, because something about a situation that you did not want to proceed upon gave you some kind of flash of insight. And I would not be surprised if this was a situation by which you potentially met somebody or somebody that you were starting to build a relationship with, but seeing that flash, right? Seeing that flash of anger in the quality and condition by which they were trying to identify that there was something energetically innocent that they aspired with you, but their insistence upon it that was your cue to exit, right? This is identifying and recognizing, right? These are the guides that are articulating to you, bottom of the deck, to trust your instinct, right? Trust your instinct. And the reason that they're saying trust your instinct is because, right, that instinct is often, right, and this is the thing about it, the instinct that we effectively feel, that is, and here's the thing about it, the difference, and this is what you'll notate, the difference, right, the difference between you not being energetically intimidated by how things appear, right, is qualified by, in the dream space, the fact that you would not hesitate right? Look at you in the dream space, not hesitating to stick your hand in a lion's mouth, right? Because you could tell that it was okay to do so, versus seeing an energetic child, but then seeing the flash of red eyes and going, mm-mm, right? That is the guides helping you to recognize your gift, which is the observation of understanding that often, right, that quality and condition by which you have to work through, right, the quality and condition by which we work through our own sense of intuition is often articulated by specifically being able to understand that when we're honoring ourselves, we're able to see and identify what others' intentions are. And when another person is working into the context of intention, right? We have to, like, that quality of doing so requires us to be strong. Because when we are being strong, right, then we are allowing, right, we're allowing for that intuition to guide us as it relates to feeling energetically fortified in terms of understanding the quality and condition of what we see within things. So what did you see? What did you notice about the two things that you saw? You were not basing things off of appearances so much as what you were building into as it relates to the inclination within, which is the observation of you not being able to know, right, the intensity of that lion unless you had your hand in its mouth, because you could tell via the pressure that they were putting there as to whether they were playful or starting to feel irate, versus the child that you saw. And you have to understand, there's no child that would have red eyes, right? There's no child that would carry anger like that. So the anger was effectively your understanding that what you were perceiving was not another person's true demeanor. That is, thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. You will be the second person read for once we start the Daily Collective. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Thank you so much. And thank you for the follow, Jenny. Oh, that's wild, Michelle. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Oh, that's too unreal. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Look at that. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, that's fascinating. Look at that. Absolutely. And thank you. Good to see you today, Bridget. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Still learning to trust the intuition, obviously. But here's the thing about it. The guides are showing you, right? The guides are showing you that your instinct, and here's the thing about it, you know, especially because, right? And this is the thing about it. When we trust our intuition, it's not about what we see on the outside, it's about what we see on the inside, right? And working through that context is helping you build into that deeper stabilization as it relates to what it is that you yourself are working through. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's wild. Hi there, Jenny. Well, we do dream interpretations here if you'd like to get on the list for dream interpretations. It's 3 cards for $29 for those who are non-subscribers. Absolutely. All right, we're going to continue right now. So those were the individuals that we had on the list prior to beginning today's Daily Collective. We are going to get started on the Daily Collective, but if you would like to get on the list to be read for once we complete the Daily Collective, The list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure that you're tapping that screen and we will get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you are participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning today's daily collective read, we will be doing an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the B. We'll be doing that again after the next reading. So Michelle, typically the daily collective is about it takes about an hour. However, if you get on the list today, you always if you are not here for your reading, you get put on the hold list, which means you can come back at any time to claim your reading, so long as you're able to identify the date that you sent in for the reading. So if you wanted to get on the list, but you're not sure if you'll be available for the reading, all you need to do is send that donation in and remember the date, because if for any way, shape, or reason you are not able to have that reading today, that reading is still yours. You can come back and claim it at any time. I hope that helps to clarify. And thank you so much for that question. And just a reminder to those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also get on our list in the same way. You can either send via the payment via the link tree that we find in our bio, or via the app itself. And when you do so, you'll be the second person read for. Also, if you become a super fan or a paid member, you also have the same benefits, which means you're also entitled to a free 1 card reading each day. Excellent. How you doing today, Avery? Absolutely. You know, I think it's interesting, Rebecca, because here's the thing about it. I'm not someone who subscribes to the fact that we should remove fear entirely, right? Our fear is there for a reason, but the quality and nature by which we heal our relationship to our fear helps us to identify when the fear feels reasonable versus the fear that we're working to heal from. And I think that that's something that's often very difficult, but that's a beautiful quote, and I appreciate you posting it. You have a beautiful day, Kay. Absolutely. And thank you as well, Nix, for being here and receiving these messages. All right, as I mentioned, friends, we are going to get started today. But if you would like to get on the list for today, and the list is open, you will be the second person read for once we complete the daily collective. Also, please remember, for those joining us, we're also doing a giveaway right now. We're doing a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. And currently, that position is being held by Nicole. Thank you, Nicole, for those gifts. I appreciate you. That said, if you guys could do me a favor and share this live, I would appreciate it. Make sure anybody who would like to catch this reading live is here to receive it. Tates, we're about to get started on the daily collective, but if you'd like to get on the list for a personal reading, all you need to do is send that donation through, and I'll be happy to read for you. Excellent. All right, my friends. Absolutely. No better time than the present. Why don't we get started? Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, August 27th, 2026. We are going to be starting our read today with a masculine, feminine, and non-binary energy update. We're going to be starting right now with the energy of masculine. I've got 3 cards here. Can I get 3 cards for masculine, please? Highest priority. We're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck for the headspace of masculine right now. What do we have coming through? We're starting today with the Death card in its upright, in combination with the Queen of Wands in its reversal, in combination with our Ten of Wands in its reversal. So what are we effectively identifying or seeing as it relates to the energy that's working through the masculine headspace right now? Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. This is working through the frustration as it relates to what it looks like to have an unhealthy relationship with feminine energy. One is able to identify the quality and condition by which one has an unhealthy relationship to energy, in the quality and condition by which one has expectations from that energy, instead of being able to observe and hold energy in a state of reverence. What is the difference between expectation and reverence? Expectation is the quality and condition by which one energetically anticipates what one can expect from energy. And when one understands that when we are building into something in a healthy way, what often happens in the nature by which something grows, it always builds into the energetic delight in terms of being able to defy expectations. When you understand that the thing that you love most will surpass what you energetically expect from it, and in that surpassing becomes the energetic, beautiful moment, right? That we are constantly, and this is what we identify when we speak towards the power of love. Because when we identify that what is found in love is perpetual surpassing, then we understand that often this is what we talk about having healthy manifestation goals, right? Because there you are, like, there you are with your manifestation goals, right? And here's the thing about it, and this is why we work into understanding and identifying in terms of building into our own sense of energetic compassion, because you have to recognize, and this is what's so beautiful, right? This is what's so beautiful about the world that's energetically around us, right? Because everything that we believe and everything that we know is built upon everything that we can conceive of, right? And so when you're working towards a manifestation goal, right? Prepare to be surprised, right? Prepare to be energetically elated in the best way possible. Because a healthy manifestation goal, right? A truly healthy manifestation goal shows you things beyond one's own ability to conceive of, right? Because in that arrival point, in terms of being able to identify and find things beyond what we conceive of, we understand the value and the power of energetic possibility. And this is why, right? This is why we identify that the true work of love is energetically preparing, right? Because when you understand that everything that we do is based upon our awareness, and everything that we love is based upon preparation, then you understand that that is how you build the framework of an energetic loving system. Because what you're basically doing in that foundation is you're building the foundation of love on everything that you can possibly conceive, right? And then you set the energetic framework beyond what one is able to even imagine energetically possible at the moment that one does so, right? This is how we identify the state and nature of being able to articulate upon the shape of us caring for things. And it's difficult, right? Because what often happens in the quality and condition by which we're working into that sense of energetic awareness, but also building into the context of our own energetic love for things, right? We don't try, right? We don't damage the things that we love, in setting expectations, but building into the highest aspiration. But you'll often see this, right? And this is when I see that a lot of those in the healthy masculine state are working through. Pay attention, right? Pay attention to those that articulate the fact that they're looking for love, but they're not looking for love. They're looking for comfort. And love is not about comfort, because you have to understand that comfortability is not found outside the self, it's found within the self, right? It's found in the space by which we're energetically building into that context of recognizing and identifying what feels energetically stabilizing. So, what we identify in the framework by which we're building into stable energetic environments, right? What we effectively see is working through our own, right? Our own insecurity. So there are those when we haven't healed, like you cannot love if you're overly insecure, right? Because what happens if you haven't healed from your insecurity and you try to energetically bring love towards things? That in the quality and nature by which you identify upon insecurity, right? Then that insecurity proceeds to damage energetic relationship, because what happens when you're not working through your insecurity, you project that insecurity onto those around the self, right? And that observation of the projected insecurity is literally the observation of energy that builds into expectation in relationality to what one is energetically expecting, instead of being able to be, right? And this is what we build into in a healthy space of love, building into the quality and condition of appreciating the energetic presence, right? The observation of understanding the quality and condition by which we are navigating in the space by which love is holding into the quality and nature of the energetic presence, and working through that presence, right, allows us to be able to identify and build into that healthy framework. But even in the quality and condition by which one is working through that framework, right, having to navigate or work through energetic resistance towards those, right? Building into resistance towards those who only perceive, right? Who look at, who don't understand, right? The quality of love beyond the pursuit of effectively navigating through, right, the dissatisfaction in terms of building into the understanding of building into the quality and condition by which we find energetic trust in one another. So we see, right, and this is what's hard, because this is what we see for a lot of the healthy masculine energy, understanding and feeling so much of that ferocity, right? Why do you notice when masculine energy starts healing, the first thing that they often feel is ferocity towards their own energetic frequency? Because it's the quality and condition by which when others are resistant to healing, it makes the job of the healer even harder, right? Because there's the individual, right? There's the energy that's working towards the understanding of trying to bring energetic honor to things, right? And that's what it feels like being in the quality of being a masculine healer, because you are trying to bring honor to things in the energy, right? In the energy that recognizes that building into honor makes things harder. But also, and this is what's incredible about it, the honor that we bring towards things makes things perpetually better, right? And that quality and condition of being able to identify and recognize, working towards that energetic unification, right? That unification that we build into, that is the qualifier of love, love is always energetically a unified place. Love is always a unified field. Now, this brings us to feminine. And for feminine right now, we're going to be utilizing the Aquarian Tarot. 3 cards for the feminine. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Same thing. I knew this is coming through. We've got the Knight of Cups in its reversal. We've got the 3 of Swords in its reversal. And we've got the 9 of Pentacles in its upright, right? And so we got to talk a little bit about this, because what feminine is identifying here, and again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. But love is unified. When you understand that the quality and condition of love being a unified field, right? When you're working towards love being a unified field, then when you're identifying, and this is why we work through, and I feel like this is a lot of the feminine energy working through this, the false perception of what equality means, right? Because you have to understand, if something is energetically easier, right? If something is energetically easier for another, right? If something is energetically easier for another, and then one is working towards, pay attention to those who try to build into equal instead of a unified field, right? Because the quality and condition by which one is working towards a unified field is observing and recognizing what is energetically needed in order to make something energetically unified. And that quality and condition changes in each energetic example, right? Because you have to understand, if you arrive into a space that has been fundamentally damaged by inequality, then you cannot start by identifying that everything is becoming equitable with sameness. Because if you are starting, right, this is just logic here, okay? I feel like there's something. I drew the Aquarian tarot for feminine, so we're going through this with in a very Aquarian fashion. If you are starting, right, if you are starting with something that is unequal, right, if you are arriving into a space where inequality has damaged something, then sameness does not fix things. I'm going to say it again so that you if you enter into an environment where inequality has already fundamentally damaged something, then sameness is not corrective. Sameness will perpetuate the inequality. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it one more time, okay? If you enter into a space that has already been fundamentally damaged by inequality, then sameness does not correct everything. Sameness sustains the inequitable circumstances that you find there. Because you have to understand, right? You have to understand the cruelty of applying sameness to unequal foundations. So when you're navigating a space or nature by which there's unequal foundations, there is nothing more cruel than to try to articulate that you're bringing equality to something by bringing sameness. Because sameness is not the same as equality. Okay, equality means equal. Okay, it means equal, which means it calculates to the same thing. You cannot bring sameness to inequitable circumstances and expect that you're energetically healing something, because that is a logical fallacy. So that observation, right? And this is why we see a lot of the feminine energy articulating this, because it has to do with the understanding that often feminine has to reach a place of equitableness with others by doing 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 times the work. Okay, 12 times. How did you get there? I just worked 12 times as hard as everybody, right? It's like, and when one recognizes that that in itself is what is so unhealthy, then you understand, right? That the space or nature by which the understanding of the quality and condition by which you identify to another that they can energetically do something, but only if they exhaust themselves in the process of doing it, is what effectively brings so much energetic frustration out in the context of feminine, because it's the observation of circumstances or situations by which others basically create, right? It's the Cinderella circumstances that feminine is often placed with, that says, sure, you can go ahead and have the same thing as everybody else. You just have to do everything in order to energetically facilitate it occurring, right? There it is. Yeah, oh, you want the same thing? That's fine. You just have to facilitate everything. No, everything, all of it. Yeah, from the ground up, right? And so that's often what we see as it relates to the energy potentially articulating and working through things, because it's building into, right? And here's the thing about it, energy that is exhausted cannot energetically unify with itself. So, what happens when you have a culture of exhausted feminine? You've got too much energy of feminine that's so exhausted that they have no opportunity to be able to effectively identify with other feminine energy. And then you build into the quality and condition by which feminine feels energetically isolated, because there you see feminine energy, right? Moving through, right? Having to effectively be in such a quality and nature by which they're working so hard for so little, right? Working so hard for so little, and energy potentially applauding feminine for being in the quality and condition of being tireless, but then being surprised when they find feminine energy absolutely exhausted. And this brings us into the non-binary energy. And for non-binary energy right now, we see we're going to be utilizing 3 cards for non-binary. What do we have here? We're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego headspace of non-binary. Yeah, 4 of Pentacles and it's upright. The 10 of Wands in its reversal. We've got a lot that this is double look, so we've got mutual energy here, right, for masculine and non-binary. And the Ace of Swords, right? And I like this because, I mean, what we're basically seeing here is pay attention to how others will try to project on you that you're the source of a problem that another person is creating, right? Like, never will you see energy distracting more than trying to say, oh, look, aren't you afraid of something, right? Right? And here's the thing about it, like, and I need to point this out. The quality and nature by which one is able to energetically perceive, right, is often arriving into, right? It's often arriving into the energetic understanding of what it means to hold dual empathy for things, right? It's very painful. It's very painful to carry dual empathy for things, because when you're carrying dual empathy for things, then you're able to understand. It's like double the pain. Double the pain. How's carrying all that dual empathy going for you? How's that going? Oh yeah, because I know it's intentional. Right? And then there you are, carrying dual empathy for things, and others try to articulate why you're choosing to do that. Oh, what a wild concept. What a wild concept. You're right. Yeah, it's like when you're carrying dual empathy for things, and another person says, "Why don't you choose not to do that?" It's like, what are you talking about? Right? It's literally like someone asking you to stop perceiving things the way that you perceive things. You can't help it. I don't know how many more, like, it's not something that there's no choice involved in perception. There's no choice, there's no choice. Because when you have the ability to carry dual empathy for things, right? It's not the quality and condition by which one like effectively moves into the context of choice. It's what you energetically embody. And so this is often what occurs because, particularly and especially, I feel like for a lot of the energy, the quality and condition by which others see your perception as a complication. Welcome to history. Welcome to history. Your perception of things is complicating the situation. Really, it's a real shame that that's the first time that that's ever happened. It's a real shame. It's a real shame that that is the first time that this has ever happened on the planet. Welcome to, this is what we identify, this is why we talk about it as an awakening process. Okay? You're awakening to the fact that others have different perceptions on things. And here's the thing about it. If your perception is accurate, then your perception isn't damaged by other people's perception on things. It's expanded by it. It's expanded. That's all you need. If you're ever worried about the quality and the nature of your perception, if your perception is damaged by another person's lived experience, then your perception is broken. I hate to be the one to bring this up. I hate to bring this up, but it has to be talked about. If your perception is damaged by another person's lived experience, then your perception is the thing that is faulty. It's not the person, it's your perception. And that's why we talk about it as an expansion process, because when we're going through expansions, you're going to experience wisdom. They're going to be things that you perceive and you go, ow, that hurts to look at, but you look at them nonetheless, because in the quality and condition by which you're able to observe something, right, you're able to effectively see something with more clarity. And so that work that we do is what we identify as maturation, right? And there's nothing more immature. There's nothing more immature in this entire world than refusing to look at something because it hurts your state of being. If there's something that is hard to look at because it hurts your state of being, guess what? You better get to work. Right? You better get to work. You better get to work. Okay? Continuing to get clarification, moving into the heart space of masculine. 3 cards for the heart space of masculine. We're going to be using the Aquarian Tarot, please. Mm-hmm. 10 of Pentacles in its upright. 7 of Cups in its upright. 8 of Wands in its reversal. I know it's hard to imagine, but I know it, and here's the thing about it. I know it seems, I know only healthy masculine energy is listening to this reading, but the fact, I don't understand it either. I don't understand the quality and condition by which another person would choose to go through their existence with blinders on, because they're living a half-life. And here's the thing about it. When you're too deep in your ego, like, you're basically just walking around with blinders on, right? And what do you often hear? What is the song that you often hear with someone deep in their ego? I don't want to hear that. Right? I don't want to hear that. 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 Why don't you want to hear it? What do you not want to hear? Honesty? Like, honesty? Does honesty hurt your ears? Does honesty hurt your ears? Because that's the thing about it. Right? It's but I don't understand. Like, it's literally, it's the sound of another person. I know, it's the sound of another person and dampening their life. Right? And we have to and I have to stress, like, it's a dampener, right? When you don't heal the ego, you're living your life with a dampener, right? Because there you are, not experiencing anything because you're just worried about how you're being perceived all the time. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like that? It's exhausting, right? And the thing about it, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to be perceived. It's awful, right? But we're all doing it. We're all doing it all the time. And here's the wild thing about it: the more that we become comfortable in our perception, right? The more beautiful we become, right? The more we become, the more we become comfortable with our perception, the more beautiful we become. And that doesn't mean, right? That's not that, and you have to understand. And I think that this is the important thing that you have to recognize, okay? That there's something to understand about the difference between self-aware and self-obsessed, right? What is the difference between self-aware and self-obsessed, right? Which is like, and you'll often notice this in the quality and condition of being self-aware. When you're self-aware, get used to people telling you facts about yourself perpetually, right? They'll be like, hey, do you know this? Be like, yeah, completely, yes, exactly, right? Someone will be like, literally, it's the weirdest thing when you become self-aware, because when you're self-aware, like the world just gets weirder. Because when you're self-aware, people point out things about you, right? Like, and they'll throw them at you like insults, and you'll be like, or like, they'll be like, you know, and it's like, yeah, like, I know, I am aware, it was intentional, exactly. It's like, just, it's because others tell on themselves in the observation of the fact that they themselves aren't self-aware, right? So what happens when somebody is not self-aware? They feel like the revelation, right? Like they feel like the revelation is going to be the devastation, right? And that's what you notice that happens with those that are deep within their ego. They're like, I'm going to reveal something about you that is factual and normal, that like it's the observation, right? It's observational, because when we're energetically aware of ourselves, then we articulate upon the understanding of being in a state of being. And a state of being is a state of being, which is the quality and condition by which we articulate upon that state of being. And being within the state of being, there's nothing more beautiful than being in a state of being, because it's the quality and condition by which you allow others to be so as well, right? When we're all in a state of being, then we all can get buzzing and doing things that are amazing. But when we're too deep in our ego, right? And you'll never see something like, you'll see individuals, right? What will you see individuals doing that are deep in their ego, right? There's somebody deep in their ego perpetually trying to prove something. And what are they trying to prove? Themselves, right? Who's got time to be spending time trying to prove themselves when there are things on this earth that require our attendance? Who has time trying to prove themselves when the whole world is asking us to energetically attend to it? And I'll tell you right now, the maturation point of this entire system is based upon the understanding of what one is doing with one's energy, right? Whether one is building into the quality and nature of, effectively, right? You leave this earth and someone goes, oh, this one spent the whole time proving to themselves that they existed. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's like a thing they do there. I don't get it. They spent the whole time, the whole time. Spent the whole time. Who are they trying? I don't. It was like a thing with their parents. It's like, it's like it's a thing, right? It's a thing. It's a thing. Versus just being in the space of being, right? It's the hardest thing to do, and we're never perfect at it. But when we're in the business of working through it, right? Usually the way you can tell is because it's the application of what one is putting one's energy into, right? And it's hard, because the worst part is when you're actually healing as masculine, that type of energy makes everything harder, right? Because there you are trying to get something done, and another person is like, why don't we, like, like, oh, what are you trying to prove? Being like, oh, there's that prove again, right? There you are they're trying to accomplish something, and you got to encounter someone who's trying to prove something, who sees you accomplishing and takes it personally, right? It's the way it works. Continuing dear clarification, moving into feminine, 3 cards for feminine, please. We're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego for feminine. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3. We've got the 7 of Swords in its upright. We've got the Lover's card in its upright. And we have the 7 of Cups. Wow, double sevens right now in the heart space of feminine. And here's the thing, like, you know what? Never has feminine felt more loved than in the space by which other energy does not take their being personally. Right? Never is a feminine more loved than when others don't take feminine being personally, right? And you have to understand this, right? Especially as it relates to, this is why you see so many feminine, they're in the quality or condition by which they're apologizing all the time, right? Because what is feminine apologizing, right? What do you often see feminine apologizing for? I'm sorry there's not more of me, right? Do you know how tragic a circumstance it is that you find feminine in a state of constantly apologizing that there isn't more feminine for feminine to give forth? Do you know how deplorable the world has become when you've got feminine that's literally doing everything, and there you find feminine doing everything, and what do you find feminine doing as they're doing everything? Apologizing that there's not more feminine that they can give to things. That is deplorable. It's energetically deplorable because it's the quality and nature by which feminine often feels, right? Often feels that they're letting others down if they're not giving everything, because that is the quality and nature of how unequal something is. It's energetically unequal for feminine to feel that the only way that feminine can energetically succeed upon things is if they do 100% and then somewhere, right? And then somewhere, right? They find another 10, right? That is unbelievable. Those are unbelievable circumstances to energetically set around others. But often you find, and this is why you find feminine so exhausted, and then you're surprised and being like, why isn't feminine more fun? Because feminine deserves energetic rest. Feminine deserves energetic rest, which is the quality and nature of understanding that when feminine is in a restive state, beautiful things can occur. But that does not occur in the quality and condition by which you are constantly, right? When you're constantly pressuring upon feminine energy, and then you're surprised because you're saying, I don't know what happened. No, feminine energy used to be so fun, but now, right? Because the quality and nature, if you want feminine in a better mood, make the world better. Okay? Make the world better. Okay? I'm telling you right now, because that quality and condition by which you are effectively navigating, okay? Feminine doesn't want flowers. Feminine wants a world outside where flowers can grow. Okay? Feminine doesn't want flowers. Feminine wants a world outside where flowers can grow. And that observation of understanding that feminine seeks good stewards, okay? A good steward is someone that doesn't expect things, but understands that the quality of what you get is equally proportional to what you give forth. And when one is working into being a good steward, then one does not feel energetically dissatisfied in relation to what you are finding. Stewardship is not about building into energetic expectations. It is an honor to energetically steward things, right? It's an honor. And when you understand that, right, the fact that we've lost the recognition of the fact that we are supposed to be here to be each other's stewards. We're supposed to be stewards of the earth. We're supposed to be stewards of the vulnerable, right? That is what it means. The observation of understanding that you don't look at the world and say, gimme. You say, what can I bring forth? That gimme attitude is what, and that's where like that's even the arrival of this lonely epidemic thing. What are you expecting? You're like what are you like? And I love the quality and condition by which another person articulates and states, when one is lonely, what is one energetically giving forth? How are you? It's the observation of understanding that quality and condition by which we find solitude and solace within our own energy. There is no loneliness on this earth if you love your own energy. And that quality and condition starts with learning to love the self, not building into a state of energetic desperation by which you expect that, oh, I'm lonely now. I hate to break this to you. If you're lonely now, there's no relationship on this earth that will cure you from your loneliness. You will be in partnership and be more lonely because loneliness does not get resolved by proximity. Loneliness is something that we need to heal within ourselves by adoring our own energy. This brings us to non-binary heart space, utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. 3 cards in the heart space. 8 of cups, pentacles, and it's upright. It's funny I said 8 of cups. The chariot, right? And the ace of wands. It's that easy, right? And here's the thing about it, right? And I need to point this out. There are those that get upset because things get more complicated. Good things are complicated. Okay. Okay. Right? What are you talking about? Oh, it's too complicated. What is wrong with you? Okay. What is wrong with you? There's like the beauty, right? The absolute understanding of what we mean by an expansion process is the observation of being able to navigate into the profound divine complexity that can be found on this earth. And when one works into the perception of the beautiful, profound complexity that can be found on this earth, right, then one welcomes complexity, right? One welcomes the complexity of things because beautiful things, divine things are complex, right? That's why they're called mysteries. That's why they're called mysteries. And often you'll see someone being like, it's a mystery. Have you ever tried to figure it out? No, it's a mystery. But why wouldn't you try to solve the mystery? Because it's a mystery. Oh, don't touch the mystery. No, right? Here's the most beautiful thing about complexity, right? When you move into something complex, there's more complexity to be found. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's an elegant system. It's an elegant system. It's an elegant system, which is and you'll see somebody, right? You'll see somebody that gets upset because they'll be like, you're spoiling the mystery, as if you could. As if you could. As if you could. As if you could spoil the mystery of divinity. As if you could spoil the mystery of divinity. There's nothing that we can do, right? There's nothing that we can do in the pursuit of understanding that isn't a prayer. There is nothing that we can do in the pursuit of understanding that isn't a prayer. Because when we care about things, what is the nature of love, if not the desire to understand? What does it mean to be loved than to be fully understood? So when we desire to understand things, we are singing a song, and that song says, I long to know you more. I long to understand more. I long to reach you even closer. Because when we understand that every moment that we seek to understand is a prayer, then we work towards that, because that is the shape of love. The shape of love is understanding that seeking to understand is sacred. And when we care about each other, we don't look at each other and go, that's too complicated. That's too complicated. I care about you, but that's too complicated. No, sorry, that's too, nope, right? Right, not enough mystery. No, that's not someone who wants to love, right? Somebody who wants mystery and love is someone who's obsessed with their own feeling, right? Somebody who longs for mystery and love is obsessed with their own feeling. That's self-obsession. But the understanding, the complexity of working into the desire to understand, right? This is why we work so fundamentally in understanding ourselves, because when we work to understand ourselves, we become our own love song, which is not the space by which we'll ever understand each other completely, but we do our best to get there. And here's the most amazing thing. The more that you understand yourself, the more you're able to understand the complicated position of those that are potentially around the self. And we're not perfect. We mess up all the time, right? We can't help. We cannot help but be present and sometimes stumble. But the observation of being able to recognize that as we're stumbling, we do our best to help each other along the way is the journey of love, because it's through those comprehensions that we are able to build deeper direction, and that starts with care and intention. And so I feel like that's a lot of the energy that works into the space of having those, and again, the non-binary energy working into the space of others that try to articulate and say, you're really making things more complicated by being yourself. Happens sometimes. It's the nature of love. Continuing back to masculine energy, 3 cards for masculine. We're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego for the unconscious of masculine energy. 3 cards, please. 2, 3. We've got here the 3 of Swords in its upright, the King of Swords in its reversal. A lot of sword energy in the heart space. The Knight of Wands in its upright. And so what are we seeing for a lot of the masculine energy right now? This is the 3 of Swords in the heart space with the King of Swords in its reversal is working through, right? And this is the thing about it. And this is what's hard about it. Look, and we all go through this. When we're working into self-awareness, the first thing we're going to recognize is how we've inadvertently damaged things, right? Welcome to Self-Awareness 101. Okay? welcome to Self-Awareness 101. Welcome to Self-Awareness 101. What's this? This is your list of things that you damaged before you were self-aware. You can take this. Okay. It's painful, right? We call that wisdom, right? It's hard. But here's the thing about it. That's because, and this is why we describe it as a heart opening, right? Because the ability of being able to recognize, right, the quality and condition by which we energetically work. And this is what we talk about when we're talking about inner child healing. The observation of being able to energetically apply conscientious effort in terms of trying to articulate upon where we have inadvertently hurt is the journey of becoming our highest self, right? The journey of, what if I told you that the journey of becoming the highest self is a journey of addressing the hurt that was effectively caused to us inadvertently by those who are not aware, the journey of coming into the awareness of how we can change things as we become aware of the inadvertent hurt that we caused prior to recognizing the damage that we were energetically doing. Our journey of maturation is the song of how we address the hurt. Because in the quality and the condition by which we identify and articulate to others that we are aware of it, then we are working to energetically, that is the song of literally being here on earth and making things better, right? There is no betting, there's no bettering beyond addressing the hurt. And the more that we're able to energetically address that hurt, either, and again, it doesn't mean, right? It doesn't mean that one spends every single solitary moment. And you'll notice this, you'll notice some energy that's like, I will never forgive. I will never. Well, then there's not much to be done. Okay, there's not much to be done there, right? Right? Another person being like, I will never. Like, you can't do anything with someone that effectively is in the context by which they say, I will never, but I will demand from you. You cannot. That is somebody who's living in a point of misery, right? Point of misery is literally created by creating in an unachievable manifestation goal. You want to know when I say misery, I don't mean it in an insulting way. I see misery, the word misery is creating an impossible manifestation goal. And what is misery? Misery is someone that says you have to address the hurt. I will never forgive you. That's a miserable state, because what you see there is somebody who's created a paradoxical manifestation goal. It's energetically impossible. It only creates trauma. So our job is recognizing the difference between others that create miserable manifestation goals for themselves, right? Not being able to navigate the quality or condition by which another person has identified the fact that they're moving in a space of energetic misery, but the quality and condition by which we articulate upon what it is that we are doing to do something better, right? It begins with us finding that energetic point. And through that work, right, it often feels impossible, right? It often feels, and this is what happens, especially when we have a history, right? The thing is, we arrive here having to take energetic perception upon things that were beyond our control. But when we understand, this is what it means when we identify having an honor in carrying something. An honor is a burden, right? An honor is a burden. And things that are burdensome, right, we carry with gravitas, which is being able to recognize the full shape and heft of what it is that we're trying to lift, right? Because when we carry things with honor, we recognize something that's burdensome, but then we do our best to find the energetic courage and strength to make it better, because that is what we identify as a legacy. While for feminine energy, 3 cards for feminine, and we'll be utilizing, we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. We've got the 5 of Cups in its reversal. We've got the 7 of Swords in its reversal. And we have the 9 of Cups in its upright. I feel like there's something important that I see for feminine right now as it relates to feminine being exhausted on others trying to define femininity. Only feminine energy gets to define what feminine is. There it is. You know what hurts feminine? A bunch of other people talking on feminine's behalf. Okay. Right? But there's feminine just feminine just going, I'm standing right there. Feminine just sitting there, right? As other people, boom, 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 right? You'll see people deep in their ego. You will see the most ridiculous things on earth. You'll see people so deep in their ego that they will literally sit there and try to articulate what feminine desires rather than just asking feminine, right? And then being so deep in their ego that when feminine states it clearly, go, oh, they don't really mean that. That's what they say, but I know what they want because they're trying to graft their desires onto feminine. Watch the disgusting display of literally someone that goes, feminine, a mystery, we'll never know what they want. This is what I want. Oh, such elusive creature. I cannot hear anything that they say. All I want is this. No, you see, that's not what they really want. I know what they really want because I am delusional and deep within my ego. And on the fact that literally there is a whole energy that is screaming from the rafters what they want. And someone could be so deep in their ego, to create a mystery around a request. Someone so deep in their ego to try to define a mystery beyond someone making a simple request. You see how tempting the ego is, because the ego does not listen to what another person is asking for. The ego would rather fabricate a story, right? Would rather fabricate a story rather than just listen to a simple request. Pay attention, right? Pay attention to those that articulate. So I know they said that, but this is what they mean. That is not healthy. There is nothing healthy on this earth that requires interpretation. Our mouths are blessed. The quality and condition by which we articulate one thing and we state it is how we have our feelings heard. And this is also why you see so much feminine energy having to heal, right? Very convenient that the same energy that goes, feminine must be a mystery, then tries to teach feminines to go, don't actually tell people what you want. It's really ugly. It's really ugly when you state your needs like that. You know, it's really ugly. Really ugly when you speak clearly. It's really ugly when you speak clearly. Could you just be more mysterious, right? That is the sound of someone trying to get one into the space of fulfilling their desires more properly, because when feminine is forced to be ubiquitous, it allows others to do things dangerous to feminine. When feminine is effectively taught to be more ubiquitous, then it creates the space by which energy is able to do more dangerous things to feminine. And when you recognize that the ubiquity that is taught to feminine is to put feminine energy in dangerous situations, then you work to make sure that feminine understands that they never need to be more ubiquitous to be appealing, because that is the sound of a predator teaching feminine how to be hurt. That is the predatory energy trying to make feminine ubiquitous, because then the predatory energy can say, you know how they are, right? Are they like that because you taught them that it was not proper to speak from a place of need to communicate how they're feeling? Pay attention to what others try to describe as appealing, especially if another person is trying to teach you to be appealing in a way that is dangerous to you. And we see that that is why we see a lot of the feminine energy articulating upon the fact that feminine energy articulates upon what they mean, that there is no ubiquity to be found there. Because when we are able to identify and articulate more clearly, we don't do that just for ourselves. One does that because it effectively protects every other person in the energetic signature from experiencing that. It is not a choice that one can make. It is an obligation to heal that. While for non-binary energy, 3 cards, Aquarian Tarot. We've got, that Knight of Wands, man. I got to tell you right now, we've got a lot of similar cards right now in the masculine energy and the non-binary space. So we've got the Knight of Wands in its upright, the Hermit, yeah, the Hermit in its upright, and the Ten of Swords in its upright. Yeah, like, you know, there's nothing more wild than when another person literally tries to identify that one is living an experience for attention. There's nothing more common to experience when you are being energetically subjugated, right? That's the first thing that happens. The subjugation of perception is when another person refuses to accept one's lived experience and one articulates that one is doing it for attention. That is what is identified as subjugation, because it is articulating that your perception is a choice. So when you understand that there is nothing about a lived experience that is subjective, that there are those that will literally see another trying to articulate upon a lived experience, and the sound of entitlement is an individual trying to say, can you please stop doing that? It's overcomplicating things, and you're only doing it for attention. Perception requires attention. Do you understand? Perception requires attention. So when another person literally articulates that another person is living an experience for attention, it's the quality and condition by which we are energetically, they're projecting the fact that one is saying that it distracts them from what they effectively desire to perceive. Because one's lived experience is the embodiment of helping others understand the complexity of our journeys. And when one articulates upon that, it helps another be able to identify and understand the complexity of our own experience. And when we navigate it, when we are navigating that, it often feels, right? And here's the wild thing about it, it's very isolating, right? A lived experience is a very isolating experience. So the observation, and this is often what happens, you'll see somebody in the throne of their entitlement, right? Going, I have a hard time believing that because I've never experienced it. That exactly. That's because you're entitled. That's because you're entitled. Right? This is the history of entitlement. The history of entitlement is often someone going, I just have a hard time believing that's real because I've never experienced it, because that is energy that says, I'm so deep in my ego that if I haven't experienced something, it must not exist. That observation, right, that qualifier is often the state or nature by which another person tells on themselves, specifically and particularly because the observation of noticing that the first thing, the energy that's being subjugated is having to be perceptual on their own erasure, right? And what do you notice about the words erasure? Erasure, right, is often, it starts with someone going, I don't really believe in that. Guess what? Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. This is erasure. Oh, we're having an erasure moment. Yeah, that's what erasure is, right? When another person goes, when you say this is my lived experience, another person goes, nah, nah. That's fun, right? And the observation, right? The observation of understanding the quality and condition by which one effectively has to be present, not only in the context of erasure, but having to experience the microaggression of perpetual erasure, right? The microaggression of perpetual erasure that is articulated by energy that gets frustrated because something creates too much of a complexity around things. That observation or that understanding is the starting point. Because, and this is what we effectively see, when others understand and work through the complex understanding that the history, right, the history of brutality always starts in the context of an individual literally negating another person's lived experience. You don't take it, right? You don't take it minutely. You take it very seriously, because that is quite literally, right? That is quite literally the energy that happens when another person has forgotten their own history. Bottom of the deck on this reading, masculine, 4 of Wands in its upright. when we identify and articulate upon the understanding that it is a gift not to have to experience something. It is a gift not to have to experience something, and it is an honor to help those that have to experience something. That is what it means. That is the height of chivalry. Do you want to know what chivalry means? That's what chivalry means. It's recognizing the energetic gift of not having to experience something and then holding it as a state of honor in helping others through who have to, which is not the quality and condition by which we try to say, I know what that feels like. No, you don't. Okay. It is not about having to carry empathy for everything, okay? It is not about having to carry empathy for anything, but the quality and condition, right? The quality and condition by which one says, it is a gift that I never had to experience that. How can I help you as you carry it is the highest honor as Strega. That's my Strega. Okay, sorry, we're having a hold on a minute. This is Strega putting, just sitting right on the deck there, just putting her 2 cents on it. But that's how, you see, that's how we protect each other. That is chivalry, is being the shelter for others that carry the burden. Chivalry is being the shelter for those that must carry the burden that we cannot carry. That is what chivalry means. Chivalry means carrying, recognizing that some burdens cannot be carried by us. And even in the quality and condition by we aspire to carry them, we cannot, right? It's not our place to feel like we must carry everything, but the ability by which we ease the burden of those who must is how we find our chivalry, because that is the quality of, again, right? Easing that energetic path. And when we cannot carry it, the most that we can do is help others that must to move through things with more easement. While for feminine energy, bottom of the deck, got one hand right now. Oops, sorry, babe. We've got the Knight of Swords in its upright. And the Knight of Swords is in its upright, is understanding the quality and condition by which we effectively one recognizes and honors the space by which you see another at a point of strength. And here's the thing about it. Strong feminine energy is beautiful because strong feminine energy builds into healthy relationship. Because when you understand that love is a unified field, when you understand that love is a unified field, then why would you not desire for feminine to be strong? Because when feminine is in the unified field of love and feminine is strong, then feminine is able to love even more, to love even further. But you will see, right? You will see those who are not navigating their own insecurity, that try to articulate. What will you see another person who's insecure, right? They'll literally try to look at strong feminine energy as something to be wary of. But never will you see someone who's more insecure than trying to identify that they're afraid of strong feminine energy. If you're afraid of strong feminine energy, what did you do to feminine? If you're afraid of strong feminine energy, what did you do to feminine that you are afraid of seeing femininity fierce? If you are afraid of strong feminine energy, what did you do? Because that wariness begs questions. That's concerning. Because when a feminine energy is fierce, then that ferocity is not misplaced. The feminine energy that is strong is protective of the things that they energetically care about. A feminine energy that's fierce is not looking to prove itself against things, it's looking to protect. While for non-binary, bottom of the deck, Smith-Waite system, Page of Pentacles in its upright, right? The observation of others trying to, and here's the microaggression that often occurs as one is being perceptive in one's erasure, right? And this is what often happens. The space or nature by which one has to be present in others' erasure is often in the microaggression of another individual that feels snide, that feels energetically slick, in terms of potentially doing something that they feel like they're trying to get away with, right? The quality and nature by which, and this is the worst part about it, often the experiences that those who are in non-binary space go through, others can't even see, right? The microaggression, the energetic microaggression of others in a point of chagrin, right? The microaggression of others' chagrin in relation to effectively identifying or feeling energetically satisfied with energy that is existing outside of a binary, perpetually being forced to choose within it, right? The snide chagrin of those that feel energetically satisfied by seeing others existing outside of a binary, that then feel chagrin, a sense of deep chagrin in making energy have to choose within the binary system. And that observation is a microaggression. It's a microaggression because it's the quality and condition of patronization. And patronization is the quality and condition by which one feels better than another. One feels that one has done something that allows one to feel higher or better than another. So, the quality and condition by which one effectively forces choices on things, when one recognizes that one does not exist within the binary of choice, it's brutal, it's painful, because that is the quality and nature by which one has to exist in every way, right? The quality and nature by which one is perpetually having to encounter those microaggressions and sometimes navigating the space by which others are energetically mindful of it, while at the same time navigating those who carry energetic chagrin in seeing the quality and nature of requiring another person to navigate through a false choice system. So we see that for a lot of the energy, having to work through other chagrin, right? Often in the space by which others might not even recognize what's going on. This is a lot of the energy that's building into the context of self awareness and in the quality and nature by which one is working through that self awareness, right? The observation of the gift in every moment that you see another person's microaggression, remember, congratulations. Now you see someone. Now you see the heart of someone with more clarity. Because I'll tell you right now, when you observe someone who feels energetically satisfied, forcing you to make painful choices, then you can see the difference between loving, caring energy versus energy that derives pleasure in hurting others. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do that. Do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who participated in our recent class on the 3 cards of the Minor Arcana. Our next class will be held on Thursday, September 17th at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the 4 cards of the Minor Arcana. If you would like to become part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update in terms of everything we've studied thus far, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you have access to well, not only will we have a discount on the full year's worth of readings, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive, as well as the opportunity of receiving an assessment by me where I will meet with you to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online, online schedule, as well as my mystic meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards based on the lunar cycles. I just wrote one recently on this full moon that we've got coming up this evening. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience by me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey, as well as my dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow. That is our daily collective read. We are going to get started on personal readings. Congratulations to Nicole. You got our highest gifter. You'll be getting that free reading today. And Per, you came in second, so you'll have an additional card in your reading. If anybody else wants to get on the list for today, you will be the second person read for. 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. And also for those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also get on our list today via my tree that has Binks in it in my Lio. You can also send the donation directly over the app, and if you become a paid member, you are also entitled to a free 1-card reading each day. Absolutely. And thank you so much, Kath, for those heart me's, guys. Please remember, if you're joining us over on the place, over on the clock app, to make sure that you're recharging your heart me's if you'd like an animal oracle card on top of that 1 card each day. How you doing today, Mia? Alexandra, thank you for getting on the list. You'll be read for after Stella. Good to see you today, dear. And Adina, thank you for those heart me's as well. Adina, if you want to comment, I'll be happy to pin you guys. I had a beautiful podcast with Adina a while back. You can find that podcast over on Adina's site and over on my stack. Excellent. Hi there, Peculiar. Sending you support on that journey, dear. One step at a time. Thank you as well for receiving these messages, Bridget. Make sure that you're resting. All right, where were we? Hi there, dear. Welcome, Kurt. Thank you for the compliment, Abigail. It's okay, Tate. You don't need to give gifts to be here or to experience these readings. That's why we identify them as donation-based, because often the space by which one person can donate for a reading, another person is able to receive what they need to hear as well. Absolutely. Excellent. How are you doing today, Maura? And how are you doing today, Dell? Mm-hmm. Excellent. And thank you so much, Mindful, for those jewels. I appreciate you. And how are you doing today? Again, Maura. Absolutely. Exactly. Thank you so much, Per, for being here and receiving these messages. Absolutely. Thank you as well, Avatar. Mm-hmm. I got you on the list, Stella. Yep, you're the first person we'll be reading for once, just in a few minutes. Thank you for being here and receiving this message, Avatar. Oh, sending you support on that journey, Bridget. Thank you. How you doing today, Lemonade? Welcome. Welcome from Sacramento, Christina. Excellent. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages, Paula. Hi there from Hawaii, Corey. Don't hate yourself, Sean. Start on working on loving yourself more. If there's something that you don't care for on about yourself, start working on changing it. Absolutely. And if you're feeling like that, I want you to make sure that you're reaching out to another person to let them know that you need support right now. Absolutely. Thank you for being here also and receiving these messages, Peanut. Mm. All right. And thank you as well. I need to point out for Disagai, so you're welcome to stay here and talk about Yahshua, but we firmly believe here that Yahshua does not require one to worship Yahshua. Yahshua was asking you to embody the practices of Yahshua, which is not basically articulating that the worshiping Yahshua is a latent state, but doing what you saw Yahshua was doing, which is working in the community, helping others, feeding others, right? We see Yahshua embodying good works, not the quality and condition by which Yahshua was saying, just believe in me and everything will be healed. Yahshua was articulating that you had to embody the practices that Yahshua was teaching. I hope that helps. And I would encourage you to make sure that you're not articulating that to others in terms of being able to understand the quality and nature of belief does not define against how one is moving through the world. It's an embodied practice. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And again, for those who are interested, I have a found movement I've called Tarot Church. I need to stress that I've been teaching tarot. I've been working with tarot for over 30 years. There's nothing in the tarot that is devoid of a faith practice. In fact, understanding the tarot will probably move you one closer to your faith practice. So you're happy if you pay attention to my classes, you're able to understand that. It's not against it, it's in accordance to it. But it's also understanding that faith is not something that we hold in terms of trying to cast judgment on one another. Healthy faith is a calling to be able to help and heal the earth. Absolutely. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Excellent. Hi there, Daniela. How are you doing today? I appreciate you as well. Yep, we're not at one cards yet, dear, but once we do, I'll be happy to read for you on that, dear. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Excellent. Thank you as well, Ella. Thank you as well, Michelle. Beauty and nuance, tap to claim. Mm-hmm. And thank you, 98, for the follow. Hi there, baby. If you'd like to get on the list is open. You'll be the third person read for. Thank you as well, Laurel. Mm-hmm. I know I said that, Nicole. Thank you as well, Pola, for the heart me's. Appreciate it. Thank you. I do my best here, Michelle. We just finished the masculine, feminine, and non-binary energy update. We're going to be moving into personal readings now for those that are interested. Hi there, Dan. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more for those who are non-members. For those who are paid members, it's 4 cards for 23 or more. And for those who are paid members, you're also entitled to a free 1-card reading each day. Thank you as well, Avatar. Hi there, Kath. Good to see you today. And yes, the list is open if you'd like to get on it. Excellent. And thank you for those heart me's light. Absolutely. I got you, Kath. Thank you for getting on the list. You'll be read for after Alexandra. Perfect. I'm glad to hear that, Laurel. I hope that this has helped you today. Thank you as well, Avatar. Ivana, thank you for getting on the list. I've got 4 more spots today before the list will be closed. If anybody else wants to claim one of those spots. I know Strega's feeling very, yeah, do you see her? She's picked her spot for the day. Yep, absolutely. I know. I know. I have to say, it's been a while since she just climbed on top of the reading. Yep. Oh, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to hearing the stack recording because she was just purring into the mic the whole time. It's gonna make for an interesting audio. I'll tell you that much. Absolutely. Oh, I see it. I can see it. I mean, here's the thing about it. She snores so loud. It's kind of like ASMR when I'm on here. If you've been here enough, you've heard Strega snoring. Yep. Oh, have a great day, Ella. Have a beautiful day as well, Avatar. Excellent. I got you, Ivana. All right. All right, let's continue. All right, let's get started. So we're going to continue right now. The first person that we're reading for right now is going to be Stella. Stella, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like to answer. Where do you want to go, Striggs? Make a decision. That is a very awkward place. I'm going to put you on the... Okay, what are you doing? Are you staying? What are you doing? Make a decision. I need you to... What's happening right now? Okay, I love you too. Okay. I'm glad we had that moment. Okay. Okay. All right, let's get to it. All right. Thank you for confirming, Stella. And just a reminder, if you have information that you feel is relevant or necessary for the purposes of our read, you can include that in the notes when you send the donation. Okay. You said you sent it over? Just bear with me a minute. I got it here. All right. What do we have here? I think you misunderstood. Okay. I got you, dear. Absolutely. You know, I have to point out, Dis, you're welcome to stay here, but I need to point out I'm here right now giving readings to others. I'm not here to potentially pursue a theological discourse with you at this time. You know, this is what I like to point out, and I often have individuals who, for instance, you don't know anything about me. You don't know what my belief practices are. You don't know what my faith is connected to. But you come in here and you insist, right? You insist upon the fact that I need to worship something. But you have to understand that that is effectively you utilizing a higher power's name in vain, because you're identifying the fact that regardless of anything I do, that your only arrival point is to inform me that if I don't accept something, that I myself am condemned. That is you moving into a space of energetic judgment. I'm not in a space or a condition by which I am inclined to argue with you, because you have to understand that the quality and nature of what Yahshua was teaching. And I've got two. Oh, look, I've got which one do you want me to pull right now? Do you want me to pull the annotated Bible with the Apocrypha? Do you want me to pull the concordance? I've got the women's Bible downstairs. I've got a lot of Bibles here. I do a lot of reading on the subject. The understanding and the quality and nature of recognizing that the one thing that Yahshua was against was trying to force doctrine into things. Yahshua was literally trying to tell you that God was accessible to you by being able to understand and move closer to the self. So I need to ask you, what do you feel that you are seeking in relation to desiring an energetic discourse of me, being here, working towards healing, but instead trying to make this energetically relevant in terms of me giving attention to you to have that conversation? And this is where we're going to leave it, because I need to point out that you doing that is you being very deeply in your own ego, because instead of being in the energetic presence and appreciating what's occurring here, you're trying to effectively identify that something here requires changing that can only occur through you. And that is not what Yahshua was trying to articulate. Again, I've got a very simple rule. You're welcome to stay here if you're in a state of perfect love and compassion. But if you're going to continue to interrupt what's happening here by trying to engage upon the space by which you're trying to articulate that others should be in a state of danger if they don't ascribe, then you are coming in here in an adversarial fashion. So again, I hope you find the healing that you seek, and I would ask you to please refrain from continuing to try to put doctrine in terms of us trying to work on healing here. Thank you, I appreciate it. Same rules that Yahshua had. All right, let's continue right now. Apologies, dear, I just wanted to make sure that we're getting that clear before we continue. And where were we? We are going to be utilizing for this reading. Thank you. Oh, interesting. Yep, I got you. Thank you. 4 cards, please. And one more. So I want to be, in terms of what you sent over, Stella, I want to first begin by being energetically clear on something that you identified in your message to me that I want to make sure that we're clearing up. You stated in your message that I identified that there was something about this individual that was drawn to you because of your pain. That is not true. That is not what I articulated. What I articulated was somebody saw you in a space of deep vulnerability. And instead of doing what they should have done in that point of vulnerability and been very protective of it, they took advantage of your vulnerability. And further, once they took advantage of your vulnerability and you identified the fact that you were in pain because they took advantage of your vulnerability, they proceeded to act like nothing happened. That was not the same. That was not what I was identifying. There was nothing that you did. There was nothing that you did that drew this energy towards you beyond the quality and condition in terms of embodying and being in a state of vulnerability. Because when you recognize and identify that the vulnerability that we feel with energy that is honorable energy works to protect vulnerability. Dishonorable energy works to take advantage of vulnerability. Then what you recognize is that you have been in deep recovery. This is what the angelic's articulating. You've been in deep recovery over someone who treated you dishonorably, which is not holding you in a state of identifying the precious vulnerable quality that they found within you, but potentially brought pain, brought pain to you with the arrival into one's life, and then in the quality and condition by which they set, right? It wasn't just, and we talked about the quality and condition by which not only did they treat you in a dishonorable fashion, but further, they gave you a false impression of what was happening. So they hurt you twice, right? They literally double crossed you in that moment that you had with them. And the double crossing, right? And when I say double crossing, I don't mean it euphemistically, I mean it quite literally. The double crossing that they hurt you with was first the space by which they did not honor your vulnerability, but they took advantage of it. And the second was in the quality and condition by which not only did they take advantage of your vulnerability, but they gave you a false impression as to what would occur afterwards. That observation is helping you to identify the fact that that is miserable, like we've described this. They live and exist in a state of misery. They're recognizing they work into the quality and nature by which, the quality and nature by which they would even do something of that nature is by its very nature an abomination. It was abominable behavior. And the quality by which you've been healing from it is the quality by which there's nothing that you can perceive, right? There's nothing that you can perceive that is going to qualify the fact that it wasn't energetically terrible. And that's why it's been taking you so long to energetically recover from it. We also see that this is why I see that that angelic has been working, and we articulated this, has been working in terms of you navigating and carrying that pain with you, because in the quality and condition by which you carried that pain, then it effectively kept that energy from coming back towards you. Because I just keep on seeing, and this is what's so difficult about that individual, I see others around this energy that have been hurt in the same capacity, but continue to perpetuate in their own existence with the false belief that something would change if they energetically accommodated the hurt that that energy is creating in their experience. So in relation to what you are identifying as it relates to the question that you brought forth, right? How could someone do something like that and erase it as though it didn't happen? It's because they've completely disconnected themselves from spirit. I think we've talked about this. There are things that you can do that basically disconnect you from energetic spirit. And when you're in that space, it's like you're basically existing very much in a quality or condition by which you're not necessarily feeling anything, because everything we identify here, and it often comes in the capacity of doing what one is energetically inclined to do instead of what one knows one should do. So I just keep on seeing that this is someone who is basically completely abandoned themselves to their vices, right? And when one abandons oneself to one's vices, then one loses pleasure in anything but the vice, because what they've basically done is they've moved into, and this is what I keep on seeing, their inability to recognize and identify nor care. The thing is everybody around them that cared has moved away from them, right? Anyone that had that expression of emotion has put energetic distance away from them. So I keep on seeing a circumstance or situation, and I told you this, like I feel like I see somebody that is energetically surrounded by others, but those others that they're surrounded by don't have, right? They don't look towards someone in a space of care so much as they stay near somebody because of what they can get from them. There's a lot of this, like everything I just keep on seeing here is somebody who just does not have an experience where there's a lot of care around them. But a lot of that work that I'm seeing in relation to that lack of care has to do specifically with circumstances or situations by which we identify that this energy, right? It says to me like it's the energy that has moved towards like doing things similar to what they did to you. The only difference is the energy that's around them. Effectively, they projected the illusion that they were energetically okay with something. So it's hard because and that's why I identified that there you would find no recourse in going near anybody that's in proximity to them, because they're going to articulate that you are overly sensitive, right? Specifically, the reason why all of the energy around them identifies that you're overly sensitive is because they don't feel anything, right? Like this energy is surrounded by unfeeling, unsympathetic energy, because that is the only energy that can bear to be in their presence. So it lives like I feel like in terms of why they thought, like, do they think about you? The answer is they do, because you were probably the most real person that they've ever encountered. And the reason that they recognize that you were real is because you had feelings. That real, like you being real, is you having feelings. And even in the quality by which those feelings upset things, right? They recognize that they can't come anywhere near you because you're too real for them. Because you navigate things with a space by which you recognize that they hurt, and you're not afraid to articulate to them when they're doing things that hurt. They potentially even recognize that you're probably, right, that the life that they could have had with you would have been one that you would have been invested in caring about them, because you would have articulated to them when they were inadvertently hurting others. But because they deny themselves of that, right, that's why they've got around them, right? That's why they've got around them energy that potentially doesn't bat an eye when they see them hurting. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list for today, the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing a giveaway today when we get to 50K likes, so make sure you're tapping that screen. We'll get to 50K in no time. And the next person, and I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. And thank you, Dr. Genuine, for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. Absolutely. Hi there, Delia or Della. I'm happy to read for you if you'd like to get on the list. I'm actually going to be closing the list, but if anybody wants to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. Absolutely. Thank you, Kath. Thank you as well, Stella. Thank you, dear. How are you doing today, Dr. Genuine? Thank you for reposting, Stella. Adam, these are donation-based readings and the list just closed, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for. You'll also have an additional card in your reading. And if you become a paid member, you're also entitled to a free 1 card today. We are still doing 1 cards. Okay. All right, let's get to it. How you doing today? I am Dinosaur. Welcome, Ama. How are you doing today? Thank you for the compliment, Abri. Excellent. How you doing today, Daniela? All right, we're going to continue right now. The next person we're reading for today is Nicole. Nicole, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And if anybody else, as I mentioned, would like to get on the list for today, the list is closed, but you can get on the list for tomorrow and you'll have priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. Second call right now for Nicole. Second call right now for Nicole. Perfect. And if Nicole, oh, hi dear, how you doing today? Can you let me know if we're doing a general or if you have a specific question? Perfect. Okay, if you want to hold the reading, it's entirely up to you. Also, I wanted to confirm, can you make sure that you're responding to my messages in the disco? I just needed confirmation on our next appointment. No problem, dear. Absolutely. Okay, perfect. The next person we're reading for then is Alexandra. Alexandra, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. Don't worry about it. It's fine. That's why I was bringing it up. No problem, dear. Yep, absolutely. How you doing today, dear? Good to see you. Hi there, Char. How are you doing today? Okay, I got you, Alexandra. One moment, please. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got you, dear. All right. And can I please get... Hi there from North Ireland. How you doing today, little? Excellent. Mm-hmm. Can I get 3 cards, please? 4 cards, please. Highest priority. Oh, transverse. Okay. And before we continue with Alexandra's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the fox. We'll do that again after the next reading. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Two more, please. Mm-hmm. So I think the question that you need to navigate or identify is what feels energetically proportional. And mhm. And the thing you have to recognize in relation to proportionality has to be identified or articulated with what another person would effectively, if there was a situation by which you were navigating, what would be the expectation from them is what I keep on seeing. Because it just says there's something very important to navigate as it relates to proportional support, which is the understanding that if there was something that was occurring by which you were in the space that they were in, how would you be anticipating that they would be coming towards you in that way? And I feel like that's really important because the thing I keep on seeing is um, that observation or that understanding is making sure that you are also doing, and it's funny too, because as soon as I started reading, I was getting this like heaviness in my chest. But the quality and condition by which we are energetically investing in each other should not come at the cost of our own sustainability. Which is to say, if you are in the process of energetically trying to become sustainable, then your quality by which you're navigating or identifying what that sustainability is identified and articulated by recognizing that, especially, I keep on hearing, especially if you're trying to make sure that you have some form of comfortability, right? The quality by which you're able to do something that allows you to be able to do something even more later on. I keep on seeing that the best way that you can energetically facilitate that is by specifically articulating to another. And I feel like the important thing that I see around that is potentially being able to identify something that you're able to create that would build over time. And I feel like there's something important related to that because um, I keep on seeing, I don't see, like, I don't know what I'm reading for, but I don't see somebody that is working through a moment by which there's like the energetic pressing need that I see that is identified has more to do with what another person is going to need over time. So your ability to be able to identify that you're energetically seeding something, right? The quality in nature by which you're energetically seeding something is potentially going to be beneficial towards the observation of being able to give someone a large gift in the interim, rather than being able to energetically navigate. All I keep on seeing is the difference between something that feels energetically discretionary. And what we identify when it comes into discretionary is, the thing about it is, when we're working through discretionary, then it always feels like we don't have enough. But your ability to identify, right, that you are effectively putting something away that's energetically small, that may accumulate in a big way in the long term, is potentially the greatest gift that you're giving another, because it's helping them to effectively identify that they can put a lot of their energetic focus on what they need to address in the moment, right? So that is effectively how you can give someone breathing room. Now, I think that that's also important, because I feel like there's something that I'm seeing here as it relates to working through the observation of what another person aspires to do. And I feel like there's something important there that may be coming through as it relates to an inner child healing moment, because I'm almost observing I'm almost observing a circumstance or situation by which you yourself, like I just keep on seeing like the quality and condition by which we identify what is available to us that is limited by our own ability of having some kind of breathing room. And I just keep on getting, there's no better quality than building another person a nest egg, because the quality by which we're building another person a nest egg is the space by which we understand that when the day arrives that they truly desire to start their own life in some way, they're going to have something there so that they can land on their own 2 feet. So I just keep on identifying that there's something very important there about you identifying that that is something that you're doing on behalf of another, but also recognizing and identifying that like that is the gift. It's like the gift that you're giving another person that also gives another person space to energetically breathe in this moment. Especially with that bottom of the deck here. Yeah, the Four of Wands, because here's the thing about it. The Four of Wands that identifies or works through the understanding of, I keep on hearing, the understanding of recognizing what it means to be at an energetic limit. There's a difference between someone that articulates that they don't have enough because they're energetically budgeting and they're putting something away versus somebody who is energetically scraping by, right? So making sure that you're having clear conversations with another person as it relates to what it means in terms of needing more. Because the difference between another person working into a budget and saying that money is tight, but understanding that they're already putting something away. So they're talking about the tightness because they're already something that they're putting away, which is why they're choosing to live in a tight way, versus someone who is literally tight, who does not have something, who's energetically scraping. Then someone who's budgeting should never be asking something from someone who's scraping, which is saying another person identifying that they have a budget. Having a budget is a luxury because it means that one has the ability to put something away. So make sure that you're having realistic conversations in terms of where you're realistically finding each other. And I just keep on seeing if another person has the luxury of a budget, then remembering that the luxury of a budget is making a choice in terms of how much one has. It's not the same as another person that's literally trying to generate enough to be able to sustain the self. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is closed for today, but you can get on the list for tomorrow and you'll be the first person read for. You'll also have priority, which means to be read for before we start the daily collective. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Absolutely. Thank you so much, dear, and thank you for the follow. It's entirely up to you, Nicole. You did? Oh, that's wild, Laurel. Well, I'm happy to do a dream interpretation on it if you ever feel inclined to. Yeah, and that's what and that's what I keep on seeing. It's not, it's saying to me, right? Like the thing I keep on seeing is there should not be like the context by which you're putting something away for someone instead of helping like recognizing what another person needs day to day, right? The observation, especially if you're in the space by which you're trying to create comfortability for yourself, that you're making sure that you're identifying to another person what is realistic versus what, like I keep on hearing, like especially if something that you're trying that's being asked, like especially if something that's being asked of you would energetically destabilize you, right? Making sure that another person has a clear perspective in terms of what you're realistically navigating. Thank you so much, Alexandra, for having that reading with me. And the next person that we're reading for right now is Kath. Kath, if you're here, can you let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question that you'd like me to answer? And as I mentioned, the list is closed right now, but if you'd like to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have first priority, which means to be read for before we start the daily collective. Excellent. But this is what I mean. I kept on, every time I saw that, Alexandra, I just kept on seeing a nest, which is you basically identifying something that you're creating for another that feels like one day you'll be able to give them as a big gift. Absolutely. Thank you so much, dear. Second call right now for Kath. Oh, I see you, Kath. Kath, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. Hi, dear. And if anybody else would like to get on the list, as I mentioned, the list is closed, but you can get on the list for tomorrow. You'll have first priority. And for those who are waiting for one card reads, we've got 2 more reads today before we get started on the one card. So if probably in about 20 minutes, we'll get started on that. And if you would like to, become a super fam or a paid member, then all you need to do is hit that super fam or paid membership, and you will be the next person that we're reading for. Or you'll have first part, you'll be able to have one card when we get to one card readings. Just bear with me a moment. You're so welcome, dear. And I've got you, Kath. Perfect. Do you hear that? One moment, please. All right. Okay. And before we continue with Kath's reading, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the cow. We'll do that again after the next reading. Excellent. I got you here. I'm going to pin up Kath. Make sure to give Kath some love. Yep. Can I get 4 cards, please? I keep on seeing something that's very... I see somebody energetically. I feel like you probably, like, there's something incredibly important with someone that is energetically honest to another person in relation to how one feels. And the thing about it that's often difficult is that when another person is being duplicitous, right? Sometimes it's hard to be able to navigate or recognize another person's duplicity. And the quality and nature by which another person is being duplicitous is when another person is articulating upon the fact that something that they're navigating is energetically difficult, right? Or fraught. And meanwhile, the energy that is standing beside them has no idea what they're talking about. Has absolute, could have knocked them over with a feather, because that is the observation of another person that's working through a delusional state. And a delusional state is the quality and nature by which another person is identifying that something is wrong when nothing could be finer between them and another person. And often, the sound of another person in their delusion, self-sabotaging, is the quality and nature by which another person is perpetually reaching out to you while energetically engaged in relationship, articulating upon how dissatisfied they are. There it is. And the dissatisfaction is what one needs to pay attention to. Because when another person is articulating, if you see another person actively engaged in relationship, articulating upon dissatisfaction, then that is the energetic observation of another person's duplicity. Because the only sound that you should hear when another person's doing that is, do they know that you feel that way? And if the answer is no, then you have isolated the duplicitous energy. Right? There is the duplicity that is articulated in the space by which another person is perpetually talking to you about why they are dissatisfied, never speaking to the person that they're engaged with about the fact that they are. And that observation of working through that experience, potentially, this is effectively, I see somebody that's potentially still working through the observation of navigating or having the quality, and like it's basically, I would say, like, it's basically saying to me that the energy, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to perpetually try to reach out to you in this way, right? Because that perpetual, right? Like, you have to recognize that every time they reach out to you in that way, instead of working to resolve what is not fine in their relationship, all they're doing is reaching out to you going, hey, will you help me self-sabotage this? Will you help me self-sabotage this? Will you help me self-sabotage this? Right? Like, if they have articulated the fact that everything is energetically fine, but yet they're feeling inclined to express to others that they're energetically dissatisfied while being in relationship, then you have to recognize that they'll perpetually try to reach out to see if you're willing to engage in them self-sabotaging. And that observation of the fact, right? The observation of the fact that they'll probably reach out in a friendly way. They'll probably reach out in a friendly way, identifying and recognizing, right? Reaching out in a friendly way, identifying and recognizing upon, right? Like another person reaching out going, I wanted to see if you're available to talk about how dissatisfied I am. That is you having to effectively recognize that every time they do so, they're basically, it's a passive way of seeing if you will help them ruin something. Bottom of the deck on this reading. I feel very called to give you another card on this. Yeah. And this is why we see that the best thing you can do if they potentially reach out to you in this way is readdress to them in terms of what they should and should not be talking to you about, right? The best thing that you can do when another person reaches out to you, articulating upon their energetic dissatisfaction in partnership, is turn them back towards who they should be facing, right? Like when another, because what all they're doing, right? Like if they're reaching out and talking to you about how dissatisfied they are with their partnership, then that's them basically talking behind that person's back. So your ability to gently turn them, right? your ability, right? Your ability to gently turn them and be like, this seems like a conversation that we should not be having, but one that you should be having with that person, is you reaffirming to them the fact that you have their best interests in at the heart of it. Because, and this is what you have to recognize, tendencies Tendencies do not remain in relationship. They energetically follow us. So you have to recognize that if this is a circumstance or situation by which you're seeing another person's inclination, wherein they have a tendency in relationship, instead of addressing their frustrations to the person that they're in partnership with, would rather, right, would rather bring them forth to energy outside of relationship, that same quality, I would be very conscientious to ask that person what happened in their last relationships prior to the one that they're currently in that led to an ending. Because I guarantee you that they're probably going to articulate the song that you're going to hear is someone going, it was crazy, right? They got all turned around because there was someone who was a friend, but they got too jealous of them. But here's where you see that that jealousy is accurate, because if they articulate that they've had energy or they've had relationships end because of jealousy, you recognize it's not jealousy. It's because of someone positioning you as their confidant. And when we're in healthy relationships, we don't have external confidants, which means we don't have someone by which they're hearing a story that nobody else hears, right? They're hearing a story that nobody else hears. It's a story for their ears alone that they potentially articulate, right? That's very convenient, because when they make someone a confidant, right, it's going to naturally create anger in the person that they are articulating a false narrative about. So, what they're identifying, if they've articulated to you that there's energy that they've had to split with because of jealousy, it's a fabrication. It wasn't that it was jealousy. It's because energy recognized their tendency of creating false confidants, which is identifying to another person a story that was not happening. And when that person inevitably found out what that story was, it led to a necessary separation, because it's the understanding of how egregious that story was that the other person now identifies it as jealousy, but really it has to do, they're trying to mask the jealousy with righteous indignation that another person would say something about them of that nature. They're cloaking the rightful indignation as jealousy, because they understand that that is the energy that identified the false story that they were energetically telling another person in order to self-sabotage in this way. So again, your confirmation would be if this person has told you that they always end up with jealous energy, because you're seeing exactly why that's not jealousy. It's a very legitimate reason to be upset with someone that's building a unhealthy intimacy with someone outside of partnership and giving them a narrative about what's happening that they've never shared with the person within it. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is closed today, but you can get on the list for tomorrow and you'll have prosperity, which means to be read for before we start the daily collective. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. How you doing today, Lisa? Good to see you. You were close, Nicole. Absolutely. Exactly. So there you go. The energy I keep on hearing, they told you that they felt like they're not being loved and cared for. That would be news to their counterpart. Right there, right? And so when inevitably that energy discovers that they're articulating that, they're going to be rightfully upset, and they're going to identify the fact that they're going to try to articulate that they're being jealous of you, but they're not jealous of you. They're upset that they're saying that. Mm-hmm. And he says no. Yeah, they'll continue. Yeah, they're going to continue to reach out in this way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that because they're trying to throw you up against that. That you're they're trying to self sabotage themselves out of a relationship. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're so welcome, dear. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's why, again, and you see how you say he's exhausted and with his efforts, but you identified the fact that there is no effort there because they're not doing anything to change it except expressing it to you. There's no effort. They're trying to build into the quality and nature by which inevitably the person sees how close they are to you, and then being rightfully upset that they're trying to build into them looking to you as confidant about how unhappy they are, and then so they can tell others the reason that they ended it was because they were jealous of you, instead of addressing the fact that they were telling you things that were inappropriate to be stating about someone that you're in partnership with. Absolutely. You're so welcome, dear, and sending you so much support on that journey. Hi there, Raina. I need you to let me know the date that you have to let me know the date that you were added, and I'll be happy. I'm not sure if I can comment. Hold on a moment. Yeah, I need to ask right now. Ivana, I was actually going to ask if you're okay with me being able to hold your reading for tomorrow. Raina, I'm happy to add you to list for tomorrow, but I've got a firm stop today. So Raina, if you would like to get on the list for tomorrow, I'm happy to add you on. And Ivana, I wanted to ask if you'd be comfortable with me adding you to the list tomorrow. I appreciate that, Ivana. I'll be sure to give you an additional card tomorrow. Excellent. All right. That said, we are going to get started on one card readings for those who are paid members and super fams. So if you are a paid member on the place where we keep the videos or a super fam, you can go ahead and let me and post your question. I'll be happy to draw a card for you. If you'd like to become a super fam or a paid member, you can do so now and you'll be eligible for that one card. I got you, Ivana. One card, highest priority. We got the Hangman in its reversal. So what I'm seeing here, I feel like there's a lot of messages coming towards you right now from the guides identifying the fact that you're in alignment. Particularly with the bottom of the deck. New problems. I think that a lot of the work that we're potentially seeing right now, it feels like there's a lot of energy trying to bring you up to speed on things very quickly, which is why like the only thing that I keep on getting right now is some kind of energy that you're getting that says like it's hard because it's like saying like no time to explain, because the thing about it is this is awkward. I'm in this reading because they know that I'm good at decoding. Right? So just make sure that you're putting, if there's anything that feels like it's coming through, if there's anything that feels like it's coming through that feels a little ubiquitous, like just make a note of it. We'll go through it. Like everything, everything will be addressed when it needs to be addressed. Don't worry about trying to resolve everything, because particularly with you, I think that it's interesting because there's a quality in nature by which the guides give you things, knowing that you'll come back to them. Okay, is the best way I can describe it. Bridget, one card, highest priority. Um, I feel like it's everything I keep on seeing right now is you're in energetic alignment right now as it relates to relationship, which means that your ability to effectively, I'm just going to keep on articulating this, allowing this to be a space where you're following your bliss. Yeah, they're following you're following their bliss. They're getting down to business is what I keep on seeing. It's interesting. Yeah, and it's funny too because this whole time it's been reversed. This whole time they've been following their bliss and you've been standing on business, and now you're following your bliss and they're standing on business, and that's how you're going to find each other. Kath, one card. Wait a minute. Highest priority. Yeah, like it's giving, especially with this Nine of Swords in its reversal. Um, like it literally, you do not exist. You do not exist in somebody's experience. And I think you might recognize this, particularly if this has happened before with an individual. If this is the same person, you are not, like, this is not a situation by which another, if another person says like, oh, in case of relationship break glass, right? You are not another person's escape from a healthy relationship. It's like, that's the wildest thing about it. I keep on hearing you're not another person's escape from a healthy relationship, particularly if they have a tendency of self-sabotaging. You recognizing that sometimes the force of care that we can apply to things is understanding that the quality and nature of care is not allowing another person to destroy something that might be the healthiest thing they've ever found. Helping them become aware of their own tendencies is the gift that you can deliver to another person, right? Like if they come to you seeking solace, give them the gift of awareness. Help them understand why something they're trying to bring to you seems like it's of the nature of self-sabotaging. Hi there, Erica. So one card in relation to what to expect tomorrow. This feels very positive, especially with the Nine of Swords in its reversal, but it does say make sure that you're being energetically patient about something. It might not be happening as quickly as you can expect. So just allow the yeah, like don't be too forceful, potentially, and especially if they identify, like it says, like make sure that you leave something with a sense of positivity, because everything I'm identifying there is you being able to identify, like I keep on seeing the quality and condition by which something changes rapidly, says to me that there's something about that that might require, like it might not be happening in the time that you expect, but it does feel like it almost feels like they might be offering you a position, like I feel like keep on getting something about being overqualified for something, which means if you're overqualified, they're holding on to you because there's something that they're hoping for you to do even further. One card on counterpart, please, for Per. We've got the Knight of Coins in its upright. So the Knight of Coins in its upright speaks specifically in relation to working through circumstances or situations of, I see somebody who's literally starting from scratch, right? Like it's literally like I keep on hearing somebody who's like, here's the shirt off my back, right? Like they're like, I don't, we have like, it's some, like it says to me like somebody who, like it says to me like somebody who's trying to like restore something with another, and being like somebody being like, let's be clear, I'll give you anything you tangibly need, but we are no longer, there's no longer a possibility of us being together, specifically and particularly because I just keep on hearing somebody say some things can't be unsaid. So it feels like it feels like, again, somebody who worked through some kind of emotionality, but something that was articulated in that emotionality, re reaffirming and honoring what another person expressed. And I feel like that's them saying, like, I'm honoring how you feel about something, not you being able to take back something that you said. Absolutely. Thank you for confirming on that. You said the 20, wait, you got to tell me the 25th of what month, Raina? Can you just confirm the month that that was, and I'll confirm the payment. I'll make a note of it here. One card on one card on the trip. This feels good. You know, it feels to me like there's something, like it feels to me like something, some kind of opportunity falling in your lap, or somebody who wants to play catch up with you, right? Like make sure that you're identifying, like it says to me, like make sure that you're asking others, like take a chance and be like, hey, are you around? is what I keep on seeing. Yeah, particularly and especially with this ram energy. It feels like don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to effectively reach out to someone and see if they're available in like on the last minute, because I almost feel like I see you. Um, like I feel like I see you and another person that have been having a hard time connecting, right? And something about your flexibility allowing that to come through. These are not free readings right now. These are readings for those who are paid members. If you would like to become a paid member, I'm happy to draw a card for you. Okay. Okay. Okay, one moment, please. Perfect. Absolutely. Thank you, Ivana. You're so welcome, dear. Nicole. It feels like somebody who keeps on trying to shake you in a way that used to shake you, failing to recognize that you are officially unshakable. you know? Um, yeah, here's the thing about it, like, especially with the horse energy, um, I have to point out, like, when another person, like, you have to understand, and I feel like this is what's happening with the guides. The guides have effectively made you a lot stronger in a very short period of time. So the observation of another person doing something with the expectation of it potentially rattling your feathers, like I keep on seeing somebody that's trying to get under your skin, expecting for you to flip out about something, that tries to validate the fact that you are in some way, shape, or form unstable. And the thing about it is, I just keep on seeing some guides that are like, I just like to take this time to remind you that this energy is solid as a rock. I just keep on hearing solid as a rock, which is basically somebody potentially doing things to try to make you feel energetically like it just like it's saying to me, like, it's that little, like, aren't you it's saying to me, like, that type of energy of someone trying to make you feel like, like, weirded out. But the thing is, like, they don't understand, like, the guides are like, you're weirded in. You know what I mean? Like, you're weirded in. If they knew the stuff that you're used to on a daily basis. I love it. This is why your guides have been like, hi, this is what it really feels like when you're having a disturbance. Oh my goodness. How you doing today, Tay? I got you, Daniela. Um, I have to, like, the thing I see about this energy here is understanding. It feels very much, I feel like you have to understand, we don't build into relationships trying to create a state of desperation in another person. And if this is an energy by which they tried to build into a relationship with the expectation of creating a sense of desperation in you, I want you to understand that needs to be your closure, right? We do not facilitate relationships to try to make each other feel like we're energetically missing out. Specifically and particularly, I'm going to articulate, especially if there's something by which you're seeing somebody who's potentially offering everything that you asked for them to another person, right? Because I keep on hearing a conversation in relation to where the direction of a relationship should be going should not be a relationship ender for someone who wants a balanced partnership. So being able to recognize and honor the choice that they made is how you can identify that you're loving them more. And if they are making that choice, then you honoring that choice is the form of your love, because I just keep on hearing your divine counterpart saying they would never do that. Your divine counterpart would never try to generate feelings from you by trying to engage in a relationship that you would have to gaze upon. They would want that relationship with you. So remember that it feels to me like this divine counterpart is ahead of you, not behind you. Thank you so much, Daniela. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. How you doing today, Esteban? Okay, the 25th. All right, I will confirm that right now, Raina. I didn't see it come through, but let me double check. I just want to make sure that it came through if you're coming back for it, but we can confirm tomorrow as well. Okay. You're welcome, Erica. You're welcome, Kath. I got you one card for pieces, please. Highest priority. Those boundaries look good on you. Those standards are not unreasonable. Don't let another person make you feel like your standards are unreasonable. Your standards are absolutely normal. Yeah, especially if another person feels surprised to find you with your guard up, right? It's natural to find it's natural to find another person with their guard up when another person has been distant, right? Don't let another person act like they don't know why they find you so confrontational. Absolutely. Excellent. I got you, Peculiar. One card for Peculiar, please. Strength card in its reversal. Your vulnerability is a gift. Your vulnerability is a gift for someone that honors the fact that they find you in it. You can't, bottom of the deck, no one can force vulnerability from us. If another person's trying to identify that they're leaving a situation because you're not vulnerable enough, that is the highest form of protection, right? We don't leave situations. We don't leave situations because another person isn't vulnerable. We identify and we understand that this is why vulnerability is a gift, because right, those who demand vulnerability from us rarely deserve it, and there's a reason why they don't receive it. You're so welcome. One card for Esteban, highest priority right now. It says to me, your divine counterpart is not going to punish you for what they've experienced. Yeah, it's not, it's especially with it's the understanding of working through the observation that everyone deserves a chance to prove themselves, not the quality and condition by which another person says that what you're experiencing you deserve because another person put them through it. It says to me, like your divine counterpart states, the trauma stops there, right? You'll be working on that together is what I keep on seeing. Lisa, one, ooh. that every that everything every standard has a caveat. Every standard has a caveat, and understanding the caveat is why it's a standard. Because something has a caveat does not make it less of a standard, it fortifies the standard. The reason that standards have caveats is because it's the understanding of the fact that there's always a quality and condition by which a standard needs to be needs to be effectively re-perceived, right? So working into it and understanding the naturalness of healthy standards, building into caveats, is understanding that that is why a standard is fortified, because it doesn't say that there's no exceptions. It navigates the caveat that builds into more standards. Minnie, I got you, dear. New moon for you is identifying and recognizing that others seeing you as the gift that you are, the gift that we help each other with, is how we're able to show each other things that we cannot see. So if another person, like if another person's identifying something, help them see more, right? Don't just build into, like, it's the observation of you saying to another, like, I know why you feel like that, but this is why I feel differently. And you being able to identify or articulate to another how your perception is different, that's how you're expanding another person's perception on things. Thank you for the follow, bot. I already pulled yours, peculiar. Yep, if you go back to the place where we keep the videos, you should be able to find it there. Julia, I didn't see yours come through. You're welcome, dear. Julia, if you could repost your question. Final call right now for anyone who is a paid member or a super fan who has not had a one card pulled today. Happy to draw a card for you. Just going back to Julia's question. I got you, Nikki. One card highest, please, for Nikki. Three of Cups. Energy that's in alignment with you is in alignment with you. It's not going to require you. It's not going to require you to do all the heavy lifting to be in alignment with those that are in alignment with you. It's energy that's going to help you with things, not energy asking you to prove your worth. One card highest and best in regards to love for Julia. Ooh, Knight of Wands energy. I see somebody who is working on their confidence because they want to move forward into a relationship. Yeah, it says to me, absolutely no fear of commitment here, right? I see somebody who recognizes that they're looking for a healthy relationship that prioritizes creativity, especially with the Ram energy, right? It identifies the quality and nature by which one is able to do things together, right? It says to me that that is the energy by which you're going to recognize them because they're doing a lot of work in terms of feeling like they're very protective of those they care about, specifically and particularly because they know how hard it is for those who are not, like it feels very much like someone who has a lot of deep connection in terms, someone who's had a consistent history in protecting the vulnerable is what I keep on seeing, while also honoring the vulnerable energy, right? It says to me like there's something about them working for a cause or doing something that has a lot of meaning in their heart space. Oh, you're so welcome, Nicole. Absolutely. All right, my friends, final call for anyone who is a paid member or a super fan who has not had a card pulled today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. If you missed the Daily Collective, it should be up now it should be up shortly over on Stack. It'll also be available as a podcast. If you want to get on the list for tomorrow, we'll be back on tomorrow at 8 a.m. PST, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you'd like to be notified as to when I go on live, you can head over and hit that alarm button and the notification bell, and you'll be notified as to when I go on live. If you became a super fan today, welcome. I would encourage you to head over to our super fan only disco channel. Introduce yourself to the collective. You'll also find a special coupon code there that will give you a discount to our tarot class subscription program. Our next class is Thursday, September 17th at 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be continuing our studies into the tarot with the 4 cards of the Minor Arcana. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. And the biggest thank you to each and every one of you. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.